We back. Oh, my mic is hello. Why can't I hear myself? Wow. Technical difficulties right off the bat. That's why. There we go. Okay. There we go. We fixed it. We're welcome back to episode 16. Wow. That's how we go. Right off the bat. We're back. Mick is sick today. She's off, so it's just me riding solo with our guests. Just came back from Miami, had a nice futures conference up at the Hard Rock Hotel, met a lot of nice people, had a lot of great conversations. Got to meet Tom Bailey, which is pretty cool. Big fan of the Impact Theory podcast, so I do watch him a lot. So I got to chat with him. He's actually building a game, I believe, for Web3. He did a whole panel on AI and gaming, so I would assume it's for crypto. So pretty cool. I think it's called Project Kaizen. But we're back. We're riding solo again today. We're going to get into charts and make sense of what the hell's going on in this market. Is the bull run over? Are we topped? Let's figure it out today. So, we're just going to jump in. We're going to bring our guests in. So welcome in the Jerry Club, Freshco, and Brandon. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? The B team is here. I noticed we didn't make it till after Malik and Rich did. So
for real, right? But I was watching your stream earlier today, and you guys were going through some sound issues and all that. I'm like, right off the bat, I'm like, I can hear myself. I have my monitor on output, and then my noise suppressor wasn't working. This Blue Yeti picks up everything, literally.
Dude, they say Blue Yetis are one of the mics to go to for all this shit. Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, you're good. This is not okay. This is definitely not kid
friendly. Okay, yeah. And I don't like them. I don't like Blue Yetis, man. I started with one. It picks up everything. Yeah. There's a little knob on it sometimes, though. It'll pick up. Maybe you have the direction wrong, or
I had a setting and it was working fine, and then I had to reformat my computer because something messed up, and it's been a nightmare ever since.
Yeah, I'll send you a thing that I use. It's just like an AI tool.
Oh, sick! Awesome! Yeah, absolutely. But guys, welcome to the show. And let's start with Fresco. Introduce yourself. Tell me what you got, who you guys are, what you guys do in the space, and I'm learning too. I just meeting you guys for the first time today.
Yeah, me or Brandon? Who goes?
You go first, and then Brandon can go after, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm Jerry, and this is my esteemed co-host there, Brandon. Yeah, I got my start in crypto. I don't know, a long time ago now. Feels like a lifetime. But really kind of found my footing in like the games industry. So it was cool to hear that you're talking to somebody who's building a game. And then, Brandon and I started doing a show ourselves that's gone through a couple iterations like 18 months ago, and was started as a Twitter space that we did like 3 times a week at the time. And then when Arena came out, we switched to doing stages, and now we pretty much just run it as a live stream. And yeah, Tuesdays and Fridays, middle of the day, US time. And yeah, man, it's been cool. It's been super fun to just be focused on that. And I think it's kind of locked me into crypto just a bit more. And I think it's like, as you probably know, when you're somebody who like helps disseminate information or like deliver information or news, right? You have to be on top of like everything that's happening.
Oh yeah.
And when I was working in crypto for like companies and stuff, it was so hard to do that. And so it's really cool to be somebody who just like hosts things now, and is somebody that people can go to as a resource. And yeah, just super passionate about crypto as a whole. I do a ton of stuff here locally in the Salt Lake area with a group of guys and girls. um, we do a lot of local events about onboarding and just education. And
So important.
it's a very big gap, right, from like somebody who's like brand new to like us who are like doing this every single day. So we try to help kind of bring all those people together, and yeah, just help them understand crypto and operate a little bit more safely in the space.
I love it, man. That's kind of my same mission I got here going too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jerry covered quite a bit of what we've been doing. It's been a pretty cool process. We definitely, got in early on a social platform as well. The Arena, rocking the hat tonight. That definitely helped with some of the tooling and some of the communities we ended up connecting with early that really have been an awesome springboard in this and have been able to give us feedback and help us iterate the process until we got to the point where we are now, which is still early in the steps of where we want to go. So it's been pretty cool to go through the process and to level up from early days spaces to stages to, if you saw me on a stream the first time, it was a really, I was finding out how all the camera issues, the lighting issues, the mic issues, like you're saying, which still go to this day, but it's
a
night
never
and day
ending process.
Yeah.
yeah. Production quality though is night and day from then till now. And I think from now going forward, we're looking to continue to kind of upskill that. I got my new place, but it's still pretty plain. Now I'm thinking, okay, how do I get a really fun visual and kind of get the whole background like Jerry set up?
I used to have like a whole room, and then my wife, she wanted a spare bedroom, so I had to give it up. And so like I have my background here because like behind me is just like a wall of like on my wife's computer and my computer, so it's just not pretty anymore.
The lab.
I'm working with a small space, so like I might even just get one of those roll up like green screens or something, but it's a different setup. I would love to have a full gaming room. Maybe after next cycle I'll be able to buy a new place.
It's one day at a time, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And Jerry, he comes from the streaming world, so he's been able to help me along as we pivoted to streaming because it's really a content game these days.
Yeah.
It allows you to have a lot more versatility with the clipping and the ability to kind of amplify content across platforms. Right now, we're running content across TikTok, we're running across Instagram, X, and then he's also streams across Twitch, sometimes retake. So it really helps. The streaming format really helps with amplifying.
Oh yeah, like I do. Like we do the podcast on Tuesdays, and I do my thing on Wednesdays, and it's nice because I can take the clips and repurpose them through everything, and make its life a lot easier. And thank God for AI, because Mick got me onto Opus Clip, and made my life so much easier instead of manually like watching the videos. Like it saves so much time.
Yeah.
But even for me, like I'm not used to doing this stuff. Like I still work full time as a mechanic. Like getting into content creation was like something I did on the side. I'm learning as I go, and literally learning live, especially with like the charts and doing trading. I joined like a trading group. I got like a mentor, and I've been doing it for the past year. Cool. And it's like, it's hard, man. It's really tough. But it's fun. I like representing AVAX here, man. AVAX looks good, man. I love the sweater. I love the hat. I gotta get myself an Arena hat. I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, it's
They're
in
on
the merch store now.
They're on the merch
Yeah.
store now. Yeah,
Oh
you can
hell
get
yeah!
one.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna have to get some. I saw
And
some
then
hoodies. It's cold here. It's snowing here now.
you
So
have the backwards too. Let me see if I
oh,
can
that's
pull it
sick,
down. If you throw it backwards,
dude. That's
you
got like
have
a
this is if I want
arcade
the
vibe.
lighting better. See that?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me arcade vibes. So
Yeah,
Freshco, I see like you're kind of like me, man. You like video gaming and stuff like that. So like
I do.
I do like my stream on Wednesdays. I do like charts, and then I do some gaming afterwards, right?
Nice.
So what are your hopes for Web3 gaming? Because I'll share my opinion later. Maybe I don't know if you're Brandon. I don't know if you're in the gaming in the Web3 space, but if you play games, like I would love to hear you guys' take on where's Web3 gaming right now.
Yeah, man. I've been through. I mean, I've seen like pretty much all the
That smile
iterations
tells
of.
me everything.
Yeah, so I've been through. I'm gonna be bearish, but I think there's hope, and I'll try to go through that journey in a way that like what's happened, and I think what needs to happen to get things to change, right? So a little bit of context. Like I've worked with some of the biggest game companies in the world, right? Like used to do user acquisition for Blizzard. I did Diablo Immortals. I worked on Marvel Snap. Mostly on the marketing and growth side. I mean, purely on the marketing and growth side. I don't do any design. So, I think what do you learn from like working on games like that, right? And then seeing Web3, right? You understand like just how big players and like how games that have broken through and like reached mainstream, adoption and have kind of like become part of the cultural zeitgeist, like what those people do. And it's all a science and it's all a formula, right? And so I've been in Web3 gaming since like 2020 ish, with Axie coming around. Worked for a couple studios, still do a lot of advising and consulting, in that space. And I think the problem has always been that like the breakthrough for the games industry in Web3 is not going to come from like the AAA space, right? And so it's not going to come from like big budget, high fidelity type games, right? And there was a very much in 2021, you'd hear like it's gonna be like Fortnite, but it's gonna have NFTs, and it's gonna be World of Warcraft, but it's gonna have a token inside of it or whatever. And that's just it never made sense to me. And I was one of the only people that was saying that then. And I was like, as somebody who's helped games get to critical mass, I don't know why you guys think that is going to work, right? But so all that to say, in that the 4 or 5 years since then, there's been so much money, and like, have we had a breakthrough hit? Like, arguably not really since Axie. We've had blips and moments in time, but nothing that is really broken through and been like had the staying power of like what a traditional gaming giant can do, right? And I think all of that stems from very lazy game design and very lazy approaches to blockchain, because you had these people who understood games but didn't understand crypto at all. And then you had these people who really understood crypto, but they didn't understand games at all. And those worlds don't mix well, right? I have a whole conspiracy theory about this. We can talk about it if you want to. But we don't have to. But
Absolutely.
the two mindsets of those two groups of people at large don't really tend to play well with one another, right? But what we haven't really seen people do is use all of this stuff that's available to us as a tech stack, which is essentially what crypto is and blockchain is, and use that to create new types of game experiences, right? We just honestly haven't really seen it. But I do think we are starting to see the beginnings of it, right? So there's a game called Gigaverse from Dith. He spun off from the Pirate Nation team. And, there's like On-Chain Heroes, and there's Cambria. There's things like Project O and Wildcard. The Born List just had a really good run during Steam Next Fest and Horror Fest for Halloween. So there's people who are starting to figure out how can we use the advantages that blockchain gives us and take that and enhance the game experience or further or deepen the game experience, right? So all that to say, I think the experiment so far and the billions of dollars that have gone into that in the games industry have been, we haven't seen, the return on that yet. I've made plenty of money in playing Web3 games and, trading assets and all that stuff. But like the vision of, crypto is in this game in some fashion, and I'm playing it every day. hasn't really happened for most people. But I do think there's probably 10 teams right now that I would say have a really good shot at taking some of this stuff and actually applying it to the games industry and making the game experience just better for it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I don't know, Brandon, are you in the gaming at all, or are you not?
I play some games, but Jerry's definitely our resident game
Gamer?
person, our game host. But I'd say, for me, you're just seeing it. I've been in enough of the metaverse, enough of the pitch decks from the last couple cycles. And to me, I just think it was a little bit, it's a little bit too much finance forward most of the time. It's a little bit too much about extraction, about money. It's not as much about games and fun. And so to me, it just falls deaf a lot because it's not a great game to play. So it doesn't really matter if all the financial pieces are built out. If the game's not fun, then let's say a user like me who's maybe going to come in every once in a while and get addicted to a game or dive really in, if it's not fun, it won't matter about anything else, because then if it's not fun, then you're just coming there to make money. And if you're coming there to make money, it's not really in the gaming realm as easily. So it just feels like an early adoption miss, which tends to be a focus in the wrong areas early, but it's only a matter of time before things blend up and things get sorted out.
Yeah, see, my here. I'll see what you guys think of my opinion here. I think the idea of Web3 and Web2, we need to get rid of Web3. Stop saying Web3 gaming. We need to just say it's a game. I wholeheartedly agree that the games need to be fun first. I think a lot of people are making games, and I understand that you're using crypto or a token to fund your project, but this is the problem. It's kind of leading what you were saying, Brandon. It's like when the incentive to play the game is to earn money. When the rewards dry up, the people leave because you got the wrong kind of people in with the wrong type of incentives. So look, as a gamer my whole life, why do I play a game? Because I have a really good story. I get attached to characters. I always come back to my analogy of League of Legends. League of Legends has really deep lore. People get attached to the characters. The game's free to play. You don't need to buy skins, but people get skins because they love their characters and they want to show them off. And millions of dollars are spent on skins, if not billions, because it has such a deep lore and attachment to the characters. So I think people need to focus on why people play games at a fundamental level. Forget about the tribalization of Web 2 and Web 3. Make a game that people want to play and get attached to, and then the earning should be the cherry on top. That's like a core feature of crypto. When it comes to games, so far in the Web3 space, the closest I've seen is Off the Grid. But because it was the crypto part was not like in your face advertised. It's almost like a Trojan horse. It's like, here's a really fun game, kind of like Warzone or Apex Legends mashed into one. So familiar what people would like, battle royale style. So people are already familiar with that. It's already popular, and people are playing it. And by the way, if you want to look under the hood, hey, it's crypto. You have a wallet. These are NFTs. You can sell them on a marketplace. But if not, it's just like Steam and Counter-Strike, where you just have a marketplace and you can sell a digital asset, right? It's like it doesn't scream NFT. It doesn't scream the key buzzwords, because a lot of people, and I'll be honest with you, I've talked to my friends that are gamers. I know they will like these games. So the minute you mention crypto or Web3, eyes glaze over and they're like, I don't want to deal with it. And especially when you add complexity to it, people just want to play games and have fun. You don't want to like swaps, this, that. It's got to be easy, like super easy.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting thing. And like, I think in the games industry, we debate this a ton, right? And one of the things I've learned, and I was just having this conversation today actually with somebody, is that like, I've learned that me as a person who's from the gaming world, is I need to let go of this idea that I'm like the gatekeeper of what a game is, right? Because there's games that I would just never play. Like, I don't enjoy Apex, I don't enjoy Call of Duty, because I'm like, dude, I just landed and this guy busted through a window and yelled at me because it's an open mic thing. He told me how much I suck, but then like I'm obsessed with this game called like Dead by Daylight, right? And I like really enjoy the horror genre of games. And so I think fun is relative. Like there's games that are about like packing boxes and they have tons of players. There's a very popular game called Rock Simulator, right? Or I don't know the exact name of it, but essentially you are a rock experiencing like life happen around you, right? And it's insane that people like this game. It's popular and it makes money, right? And So I think a game can look a lot of different ways, right? There's people who like play Football Manager, and which is like for the American people is like a soccer management style game, and it's so much of like a spreadsheet game, right? You're tracking like what did my guys. It's like fantasy football, but without the. I mean, I guess it is just fantasy football.
My friend loves
None
that
of
game,
it's real.
those kind of games.
Yeah, and so there is a market for like gamifying any type of thing, right? And I think to your point, Mike, one of the things that we've gotten wrong is we actually got people attached to the characters in crypto first, right? We have NFTs, right? I still have NFTs to this day that I look at and I'm like, I know it's valueless, but I just want to have it. It was like my PFP for a while or whatever, right?
But it's art,
And
right?
so
Art is subjective and it's valuable to
yeah,
you. That may not be
yes,
valuable to me, but to you it is, right?
right. Yeah, but some of these projects built communities and they built hubs of people who really enjoyed that thing, but they couldn't connect all the dots, right? And that's the thing that's really frustrating about the Web3 gaming experience is like it's like one of those things that like a connect the dot picture, right? It's like all the dots are there, but nobody's connected them yet, right? And I think like this is where games like Project O, if you're not familiar with it, is they're doing one of the most interesting things I've ever seen somebody do. And they took all just public domain IPs, right? So think like Winnie the Pooh, um, Little Red Riding Hood, right? These IPs that are just old, that now they're in public domain, and they made a trading card game around it, right? That has like a meta game on top of it, right? So you can level up your cards, you can level up the character that you're playing or whatever. But it's all characters that people know and people love, right? And then they just made a really fun trading card game on top of it. And they're doing a lot of like private testing of it now. But when I talked to those guys like 2 years ago, I was like, that is going to be a hit, right? They understand how to build the fun of games because they have somebody, one of the lead designers there understands crypto deeply, but he understands how to make games. He made Microsoft Solitaire, right? So I think the Solitaire that we
Oh
played
my God.
all the time, Kevin Lambert, who's the game design lead over there, he made that, right? He made that fun. He made that be something that had to come on every version of Windows because that's how fun it was to play in like these little 5-minute breaks that you had at work or whatever, right? So, you know, I can be sometimes really bearish on the Web3 gaming industry, but like I think by this time next year, we will be talking about a game that people out like your friends, Mike, that you're talking about who just don't want to touch it because of the fact that it has crypto in it. They will be playing some of these games because I think that they're going to start to be undeniable. And it took a lot of pain to get there.
Yeah, it's you know what, for every failure it's just a stepping stone to another success down the road. Unfortunately, some things have to fail for things to succeed. And also another issue, and this goes for not even just gaming, for like a lot of projects in crypto, horrible money management. Like they get funded, or they get VC money, or they raise funds, and they terrible money management. Like we need to get like somebody from Web 2, the trad world, to come and like this is logically, this makes sense to me. I was talking about this with a couple of people at the conferences, and that I was at in Miami, and it was like, you get all this money, why not just like invest the money in a way where you're making a certain percent of interest? Say you get your ways, $5 million, and you position that in a way with whether it be in crypto or traditional assets or a mix of both or real estate, whatever, and you have an income coming in from there, like an interest income that you can pay your staff with. And you only pay your staff with the earned income you get from the capital. So you never have to sell the capital. And then as that capital grows, as you make more revenue, you can add to that, make more, and then start paying more staff. Instead of doing all these crazy events and all these launch events and all that, spending all this money like immediately. And then you run out of runway, and then it fails. And and you may have like a really good project. That's the irony of it, is like you probably have a really good product, but if you run out of money, then sorry, it's over, right?
Oh, there's so many games like that too. And like games is one of the most high failure rate industries in the world. If people don't know like kind of the unit math of games, like it is I was actively in gaming when I was telling people like who were, I do a lot of mentorship and stuff, and people be like, oh my God, I want to do what you do. And I'm like, man, don't. Unless you like pain, unless you're like kind of a masochist, like, or you really, really love this, don't do it. Because like games and restaurants are probably the two worst industries to be in, right? It's just like you can make a great game and still nobody can play it. I've seen this happen over and over again in my career, right? But it's also just really expensive and it's a very iterative process, right? So every time you would see people like throwing a party at GDC or throwing a party at Token or something, I'd be like, dude, you guys probably spent like 50 grand on this.
Yeah.
That's a month or two of burn, right? And you know, just building games is like you go test and you go get feedback and you get like you try to get as unbiased data as you can possibly get, and you'll come back and they'll be like, this game's horrible, and you're just like, dude, we spent a year to build this, right? And now we have to spend another year tweaking all of it to try to get it to a place where like these net neutral people who don't know anything about what we've been doing, they're going to enjoy it too. And it's really hard. And I think the VC model that crypto really relies on to get funding isn't really the best way to build games. It's to get big publishers to go in and pay people for what they've built up to that point, and then say like, hey, we can take you to the finish line now, right? But we don't really have that in crypto. And the big publishers that could do that, the Activisions of the world, the EAs of the world, they don't have no interest in crypto, right? Because they've seen the landscape for the last few years. So it's going to take somebody who understands, how do I make sure that all the crypto people love me? And then how do I make sure that this game is good enough that people outside of crypto want to play and want to start that journey, right? Absolutely. For most of us, it was different, right? It was yield or, Celsius onboarded you to crypto or whatever, right?
I almost dropped a lot of money in Celsius. Thank God I slept on it and didn't do it.
Yeah.
That would have been real bad. Honestly, after that, I don't chase yield anymore because like I have PTSD from like I had some money in crypto.com making like it was like 12% at one point. It was stupid. It was like easy money. And I was like, oh, well, look, Celsius is offering like 13-14%. Crypto.com was cutting. I'm like, I'll sleep on it, whatever. And then we had the crash. I'm like, ooh, okay. Almost lost my wife in my house.
Yeah.
So that would have been bad. So you guys do a lot of education on your podcast or on your live streams. So tell me about like, I'm a whole thing about education. Like my whole platform is full-time worker, blue collar worker as a full-time mechanic, getting into wealth creation, trading and crypto and all in all, just learning how to like level up financially and create wealth. And, that comes from, a bunch of everything and trying to show like that, a licensed mechanic like a grease monkey can do, you can do kind of thing too, right? So like for you guys, tell me what kind of things you guys do for education. What is lacking in the space? What kind of education do we really need to push to get more mass adoption in the space?
Brandon, go ahead. I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, it goes down a lot of paths. I would say we run through. I think we do some education, we do some strategy, we do a lot. We also splash in entertainment. Our whole game plan is that if you can come on our show, and whether you're an everyday person that just wants to come hang out, talk about relatable subjects, and then we'll get some experience of the industry, what we're looking at, whether it's the economy, what's going on politically, what's going on within TradFi, what's going on in crypto. Like we try and make it in a digestible way where somebody can really receive that content where they're at, but they're not going to come in and just be blown away or like just blown over by us being so deep in the weeds unless the topics unless the guest on our show or the topics people are asking us about ask us to go deep down a subject. Most will stay in like overall strategy, how you mindset, stress levels, how to take on and organize your finances, how to prepare, how to identify good opportunities, and things where it's not like you're blown away and going, I don't really know what they're talking about. Maybe we go into hot wallets a little bit, maybe we go into DeFi a little bit, and we break it down to a certain extent, but all of it should be digestible in a way. And I would say when it comes to crypto content and education, there's no amount you can pull it back that's enough, and there's not enough content out there. So you could go you could go so beginner to all the way advanced, and there's going to be somebody who's interested. And this person who wants to hear the advanced is going to be kind of annoyed that the beginner stuff's going on. And then the person that wants to hear the beginner stuff is going to be super annoyed the advanced stuff's going on. So you also just got to know certain shows, you set them up how you set them up. And some people will drift away because it's not the show for them. And that's how it's meant to be. You don't have to be at every show. Certain shows are going to match up with certain users.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like, I don't know if you guys found the same thing, but like I make a video on YouTube, and I explained all the different type of wallets, and I felt like in this video it was tough because like a lot of people don't explain why to use a certain wallet. Like people understand like, oh, use this wallet or cold wallet is the safest, but they don't understand where's my risk in each one. So I made a video like, here's all the wallets. Here's the risk involved in each one, and then you can make a decision for yourself now that you know the risk. Like barely any views, but then I'll make like how to make 100x or how to trade this pattern or how to like double your money, and I'll get all the views. What I mean? So
exactly.
It's really tough to make educational content that's relatable and like funny, and you know what I mean. Like get that balance in between both. I wonder, like, what is your like? How do you guys do it? Like, what is it? Just jokes, or like, how do you guys lighten it up to like kind of like make it less dry? That's my problem. When I get in the weeds, man. Like I get in the weeds.
I think like I've always viewed myself as like a master of none type person, right? I'm pretty comfortable in a lot of areas of something, but am I an expert at DeFi, or am I an expert at like concentrated liquidity or leverage trading or anything? Like realistically, no. And I think one of the superpowers that Brandon and I have is just relatability, right? And we're super open about some of the stories and journeys that we've gone through, right? Like we've both round tripped major bags. We've both had a lot of wins. We both had a lot of losses, and everything in between all of that. And I think what a lot of people really desire, and when they like you as a content creator, not just they're looking for crypto content, but they go, oh, we really want to follow like Brandon and Jerry. It's because they see something in us that is also reflective of like who they are as somebody, right? And so, I don't think in our show you'll find us going like, hey, we're going to go 50x long on this because we just saw this technical indicator or anything like that, but you will find two people who are learning to build those skill sets and who are willing to talk about it. And then we both have strong opinions about a lot of things, right? So we're willing to share them. And sometimes that can be intimidating, right? Because you're like, man, I could be wrong so publicly here. Brandon and I get pretty good viewership across Arena and X and all the things that we're doing. And those people will not hesitate to be like, dude, you guys missed out on this in a major way, or like you guys were dead wrong on this, right? But I think that's just the crypto journey, right?
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
is missing out on some of those things, right? Zcash trade that just went on that like everybody seemed to win on, right? I was completely sidelined for that, right?
I tell a lot of people like you got to get comfortable with leaving money on the table in this market.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the way to win, right?
I've been in here since 2018 and I'm still fucking learning like a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been here for so long and I feel like an idiot. Like I feel like I know nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah. Yeah, we had somebody, in our stream today was like talking about like closed limit order books or whatever, and I was like, oh, I don't really even know what those are. I got to go do some research after this, right? And but I think that if you are feeling that as somebody who's like a crypto power user, what is somebody who has maybe been in the space for a year and has just stumbled across you, right? They are so out of their depth. Like when I first got into crypto and I was like a Bitcoin maxi for a long time, right? So when I started doing stuff on chain every day, it was terrifying, and then there wasn't the resources that there are now.
My heartbeat still goes up when I move some money, even though I know
I still test like bridge. I still send $5 when I bridge something to make sure it lands first,
Yeah.
And so but if and we've been around forever, right? So if we are still doing that, what is that level of intimidation that somebody else feels, right? And I think so, Brandon and I just, when we set out to do this, we were like, hey, we're going to be super transparent, we're going to be super honest, and there's going to be painful moments in that, and there's going to be lessons, that Brandon and I, like a few months ago, almost got caught up in like I don't want to say caught up. Like we were approached by somebody with like a business opportunity that ended up being a huge scam. And like, we had to tip out a ton of people, but I mean that would have been a 6 to 7 figure loss for some people if
Oh wow.
we hadn't kind of recognized some red flags in it and started to like DM some people and be like, hey, what's the story behind this, right? And so, but I think relatability and the ability to understand not what is it like for us now on the journey, but what has it been like? Because I mean, we are probably at the tip of the spear for crypto adoption. The people like us are the most far along that you can really be in living a life on chain, right? Now, and there's not that many of us. So all these people that are going to come, I still have to remind myself, like, what did it feel like to bridge for the first time? Or what did it feel like to, go from L2 to L2 or figure out like, how do I get my money from Ethereum to a non-EVM chain like Solana or whatever, right? And so,
Paying a stupid amount of fees.
yeah, exactly, right. But and then I think maybe this is probably over a year ago now, but we were talking one day on our space at the time, and Brandon and I were both like, yeah, we don't really know as much about DeFi as we should. Like, let's just get in the mix there, right? And so we started to, and I was way more green at it than Brandon even was, and just learning like, all right, this is how concentrated liquidity work. Well, that sucks. That's a lot of money that's gone, or like that's a lot of opportunity cost on the table or whatever. But you don't become a power user without going through those steps. And all the people that are really coming to you and asking questions or whatever are asking because they don't have anywhere else to go. And so people like having resources for that is super important, because like I had BitBoy like back when I came into crypto. This is BitBoy before he like the BitBoy story.
So
BitBoy was how I learned a lot of crypto.
That's how I like my 2021 was like watching a bunch of BitBoy shows, and I met him at the my first futures conference in Toronto, and literally 2 weeks later everything fell apart for him. Actually, one of my homies in the space is J Chains. Actually, he's actually got me into doing content creating and all that. It kind of inspired me, so I'm part of his.
He has a tattoo of a hot dog.
He does.
You know that?
And a pizza.
Wild guy. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he's it's great. He was actually in Miami with me as well. Like we've he like joining his little. And then another thing, joining a community in Web3 is like huge, right? And I got into that, and like the whole BitBoy thing I know, because like it being in that group, like there's a lot of issues personally with him, but like I'm not.
Yeah, well,
I digress.
Yeah, that's to say the least, right? But the other thing is you have to operate at such a level of transparency that people trust you, right? So for something like Arena or AVAX, like I know that Brandon and I get our wallets watched way more than I would have ever thought I would have my wallet watched. I didn't join crypto to be somebody. I ended up realizing that there's nobody talking about the things that I want to hear, so why don't I go talk about them? And that's kind of how Brandon and I started this whole process, right? But having that group of people, whatever size it is, have those people having trust in you, you don't get that back. You can't break that and then say like, hey, my bad, guys. When you lose that, like, trust is super important in the space. And so I think like relatability, the fact that everybody who watches us generally trusts us, and we've always tried to operate above board and just be super transparent about everything, and even the mistakes we've made, right? Being like, hey, it was stupid that I did this, but hey, I did it, and I round trip this bag or whatever. And I always preach on our show, like I'm always saying like, hey, take profits or whatever. And I didn't do it, right? I didn't take my own advice, right? So things like that, I think just it really helps to like build that group of people that enjoy you. I mean, Brandon and I started with like 4 listeners, dude, on a good day, and we've built up, from there. But it wasn't always that way, and it was a lot of like every time somebody new comes in, you're brand new to them. So they have a lifetime of listening to people and hearing, content creators talk and all this stuff. But, so they come in with, whatever baggage that they do, and you have to kind of overcome that. Right. And in crypto, if you watched any of these content creators, like, there's a lot of baggage as a viewer, right? So you have to kind of break through that and earn that trust from them. And, but if we are all the people that we say we are, and all the people that we claim to be, that shouldn't be much of an issue.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, for me, like it's like I had like I see a lot of people in like my personal life where like you work your whole life and then you go to get you're 65, 70 years old. It's like fuck, I can't afford retirement because they didn't
Yeah.
understand that like the dollar is your risk, right? Like you got to have assets. So like last bull bear market, I just went in the weeds with macroeconomics and like just
Yeah.
diving in like at work every day, listening to books and trying to figure out like I started to understand money at a fundamental level, like how it works and the idea of like inflation and all that and what it really does. And
Yeah.
that was my whole thing. I'm like I again I'm kind of like I really relate with your story because like I don't really care about like becoming super famous. Like obviously be nice, but like I'm not trying to get super famous and as a content creator. Like I'm just an investor really. I came in as an investor. I came here I came here to make money, and I believe Bitcoin, for example, is like the safe haven for to park your money. It's the best asset in the world. Like
Yeah.
nothing outperforms it, right? Like it's like if you can't beat it, you gotta buy it, right? So
Yeah.
um and I messed around with altcoins. I still do. Like altcoins are great. I look at altcoins like companies. Like I look at it. Do you have revenue? Do you have users? I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
are familiar with Metcalfe's law. So the
Mm-mm.
value of a network is basically the amount of user. Metcalfe's law was related to like the growth of the telecommunications network. So is the value of the network is based on how many users
Mm.
and everything. Like if you guys listen to Raul Paul, he talks about it a lot.
Right.
And I look at that for Ethereum, Solana, and like are the wallets growing? Is there more transactions? How much money is coming in from fees? Like that
Yeah.
tells you that people are using that network and it's having
Yeah.
growth. And that's why like AVAX has been huge for me because I came in 2021 as an ETH Maxi. It was an Ethereum miner and a bunch of like 100 graphic cards going in my room here, and I was an ETH maxi, and then they went to proof of stake, and they just said like go screw yourself to the miners. I've been on those calls
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
like, well, no, I think it's be better to have the miners because you just literally just cut your security in half. But that's another story. So like that forced me to get into Bitcoin and the core values of Bitcoin. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but it's Bitcoin first for me, and then like I
Yeah.
use the core values of Bitcoin to look for other projects that follow along with those values.
Yeah.
And now like when I see AVAX, I'm like, see what they're building. I see the institutional adoption, the gaming. They got a well-rounded product, and then you're paying like no fees like that for
Yeah.
me. Like I moved to Solana because the Ethereum fees were egregious, and
Mm-hmm.
then I saw the C chain. I'm like, holy cow, it's even better. Like I didn't think it would
Mm-hmm.
get better. Like the Solana was fast, but the C chain was even faster. And I don't know about you guys, but like streaming on the arena kind of reminds me of back in the day streaming on Twitch. Like I first started streaming on Twitch in 2015, and I'm like, it kind of gives me those vibes again, where people coming in, like it's so hard to get attention on Twitch now.
Yeah.
Whereas arena something new, and like especially with they have all the new upgrades and all the things you can do now. Like I don't know, I just feel like it really puts the power back into the creator. Whereas like I feel like Twitch just became like Amazon. They got all the profits from it. Like you know what I mean. The creator didn't really get much, and it was really hard to
Yeah.
make money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I tell a story a lot, but like, I was somebody who I started streaming on Twitch when Overwatch came out, the first Overwatch, right? And I was one of the first like 50 people that Blizzard gave private access to, right? So it's super hard to get an invite code. Luckily, like I played a ton of World of Warcraft, and like some of my friends were such big fans of World of Warcraft that they went to go work for Blizzard, right? And one of my friends ended up being like, "Hey, dude, I'm in charge of like handing out these codes. Like, do you want one?" And I was like, "Never heard of the game before, but like, yeah, sure." And then I started streaming that. So I went from having never streamed to like hundreds of people watching me as like a 18-year-old kid, right? It was terrifying. Um, and so and I had pretty good success as a streamer, and then in the pandemic I picked it back up. I started streaming a lot of horror games. Like everybody was starved for entertainment, right? And um again, really good viewership, making quote unquote decent money. And in my first month on Arena, I blew past what I'd ever earned in years of Twitch up to that point,
Oh yeah,
because
so much better.
everybody's supportive, and everybody's like wanting to go and support new people. Where I mean, Twitch now is like a discoverability pit, right? Nobody grows as a streamer first anymore. Like you stream in conjunction with like clipping and virality on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts or whatever, and then you hope to convert those people down funnel into your stream. But like, the days of people finding streamers are non-existent, right?
It's too
Except
many. It's too
for in crypto.
saturated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But crypto kind of upends that because there's not a lot of streamers in crypto, right? So people doing stuff like this is super important because, there's still like streaming, becoming a somebody who can make a living off of streaming is still a very disruptible space if you look in the right places. And for me, I think crypto is absolutely that place.
Oh yeah, I think when more people start to come in, they start to realize the value that the creator has more opportunity. I think that's where we're going to see it really change. But it's just about getting them in, right? So getting them to switch the platform, to educate them about the platform and just get it out there and just to have them try it. I think is important. And then, like you said, like the community is like super supportive. So and like the arena is ripe for like you get a good like a top-notch creator in here, making top-notch content. Like you get, if you're the first one to do it, make a a viral podcast or whatever, right? The market's yours, man. It's all you.
Yeah.
You can get a good share of it.
Yeah, and Brandon can speak on this too, but like we were the first people to do like a long form style discussion on Arena, and people really jived with that, right? And we took that from the kind of chops we'd built up from doing stages and spaces and stuff, and we said like, what if we just did this in video format? At the time, people weren't doing that on Arena. Right now, it's super common. I'd say it's probably the number one type of content.
It's leveled up for sure from when it started.
Yeah, oh yeah, which is so cool to see, because when Brandon and I started, we were like, dude, nobody's really doing this. Like, why don't we just take this and go put our faces on it instead of these PFPs or whatever, right? And I was like, a while back I did this thing where I was like, oh, I'm gonna go from like no arena or very little arena to like I want to make the Champions board just by streaming. So I streamed every day, just myself talking, reading news articles, and just give my opinions on them and stuff, and then playing games sometimes, right? I was able to be like, now I'm one of the top like arena holders, right, just from stuff like that. So it's like a place where if you're like one of the first people to do something kind of new, people will really resonate with it, which is that's the most fun place to and that's the most fun place to be as a creator, being like, nobody's tried this, I want to try it. It's either gonna be spectacular or fail spectacularly, and I kind of love that. I love doing content in that realm.
And like I'm not saying it because I'm like a AVAX like Maxi whatever, but like I've been on Pumped Off Fun. I've checked Abstract. I've checked the other ones. And like, it just doesn't. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't feel that. Well, Pumped Off Fun, it just feels garbage. Like it's all surrounded by tokens. It's all tokens or nothing. Like it's like literally, it's just terrible. I don't I don't enjoy the atmosphere there, and I don't enjoy the streams that are on there. There's nothing high quality really. Just people wanting money. And for the most part. And then Abstract was okay, but the UI kind of sucked. I wasn't a huge fan of it. This felt, I don't know, like being like again on Twitch and familiar, this felt natural. This felt the platform right off the bat. The UI UX was good. The only gripe I have is every time I start a live stream, I have to reset the streaming key for it to work. I don't know why. It's so weird.
It's super annoying.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. So so that's the only thing the problem I have with it. But yeah, I love it. I'm actually like, it's kind of sucked because my wallet got screwed. I went to on Discord. I had an issue. Went to support. Brought me to the Arena Discord, and I put a ticket in, and somebody intercepted the ticket. So they sent me to a website, and like an idiot, I put my private keys into it was some RPC error. And I'm like, and the guy's like, hey, do you have like another wallet to use? I'm like, what do my other wallets have to do with this? I'm like, oh shit, I got scammed. So I took all my stuff out, thank goodness, and I didn't lose any money. But now, like,
oh, thank God,
anytime someone donates to me, instantly gone. So I'm trying to.
That's super annoying.
I know. I'm trying to get another wallet attached to the account. So that, or I'm just gonna have to start up a new account and just like start fresh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There should probably be a fix to that. I didn't know that had ever happened. I think, we can take notes.
I say it just in case somebody else has the same problem. Be careful with tickets on Discord. I don't know how the hell it happened. It's the first time I've ever seen that. Just make sure you're getting you're responding to a ticket from an actual admin. FYI.
Yeah,
And
never. I mean, I imagine I can picture what happened is it's like a lot of things where you send something in and then somebody DMs you from there. Like, oh, I'm from customer service, and they kind of jump right into the conversation from the side,
it was
and
a
it seems like
DM.
it's all part of the same.
Like
Mm,
it came
mhm.
in like saying ticket. Like I was assuming like it was the
Yeah,
ticket.
exactly. They just DM you out from the side because they know it's coming, and they just go boom, and they put it from the side.
So
It all
weird.
matches up, and yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, scammers, that's one of the biggest things that probably makes the most sense to constantly be talking about is you have to be so defensive in this industry from the moment
Yeah.
you step in. No matter if you're max experience or just starting, the people are going to come at you as hard as they can every day to try and take your stuff. And that's not something you should be used to in any form of anything you've done in life before this. And so most people are not. You're not coming in here, and if you have no friends coming in or nobody's told you anything, you'll hit with you almost get numb to how many scams come through on a daily
Oh
basis
yeah.
at this point that you forget to tell people certain things because you're just so used to not doing things. But day one, week one, all that, people get hit with all sorts of stuff. And that's one of the most sad parts about this industry is the level of scamming that's always going.
Hmm.
It's the whole financialization, right? Like people could just get rich quick, and people have, which is like it's a double-edged sword because like it's nice that people got financial freedom really quick being in crypto, but on the other hand, it's like people think that they're gonna come here and get rich quick, and they get burned or scammed, right? It's new, right? It's new. A lot of people, there's a lot of tech, and a lot of people see an opportunity, unfortunately, because it's like still kind of feels like the wild west, right? Maybe not so
Hmm.
much for Bitcoin, but when you start getting into the altcoins and bridges and like all these, decentralized exchanges, you got to be very careful.
Hmm.
That's actually one thing. I was actually reading the VDEX white paper today, and like the goal is to have like a bridgeless future, because that's my biggest gripe with dexes is bridges. Like the dex may be great, but like there's so many bridge hacks. Like how are we safe from that, right?
Yeah.
So I
No,
that's why.
Arena actually, that's something that Arena just rolled out feature wise. I don't know if you saw that, but the auto bridge or the basically the swap feature, but between chains.
Okay.
With they're saying at least at this point that the X402 protocol is being used on the back end from Gladius to help make that bridging happen. I haven't like looked deep into that, but no matter what, it is a really clean swapping. It just rolled out this last week, the ability to swap between different things on platforms. So kind of an interesting. I know you guys mentioning things that are coming out with Arena, but
Hmm.
that's probably one of the bigger underrated features that came out this last week was the ability to swap right on platform
That's
between
fantastic.
different chains.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because then it gets too messy when you're going to all these like third parties, and you have so much counterparty risk, right? So reducing the counterparty risk is most important, and being able to do it in a proper way. So that's great,
Yeah.
because that's my biggest problem. And there's been a lot of big bridge hacks, right? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, when you're using decentralized products, there's no like safety net for you, right? You lose your money, right?
Yeah.
And I believe DeFi is the future. I'm sure you guys may share the same sentiment, but I think DeFi, like I prefer to use DeFi for everything now. I don't want to
Yeah.
use a centralized exchange. Unfortunately, where I live, there's no way to on ramp my fiat into crypto without using a centralized exchange. But once it leaves there, it never comes back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially now, because you can spend your stable coin with, like the AVAX Visa card or Crypto.com
Yeah.
Visa card. Like, there's so many ways to spend crypto now, and it's yeah, that's I don't know. They don't need like to know like I put money in the crypto.com the other day. It was like $500, and they're like, "Where'd this come from?" Because they have it's called the travel rule, and I'm like,
Mm,
"Bro, like if I put $500 into my wallet, you don't care. In my normal bank, they don't care. Why are you
no.
asking me about crypto? Like
Yeah.
why are you over regulating like
Yeah.
this? Like if I buy $500 in stocks, you don't care, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You put $500 into Wells Fargo or something right there. Like, what are you poor? Like 500, it's like, yeah, they don't care about you. Right. So
Yeah,
it's
like
like,
they don't care.
yeah. Hey, Mike,
Don't be
I
poor.
have to jump.
Okay, no
I'm
worries.
sorry that I have to go. I think Brandon has will cover for me and represent us very well. But yeah, this is very fun. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, let me know if you ever want to chat up a little bit further. I'm happy to come back on.
Absolutely. Thank you for so much for
Mhm.
coming on, man.
Yeah, take care.
All right, take care, buddy.
Have fun, Jerry.
Bye. See ya.
Oh, I turned the wrong person off. Oopsies.
Wow. Wow.
We're back. So tell me, I didn't get a chance to ask Jerry here, but tell me, how did you get into crypto? I know you were talking on your stream that you were into basically playing like semi-pro sports, like rugby, I believe it was. You were playing rugby. How did you get into
Yeah, I've
crypto?
played. Yeah, I still play rugby now, but it's more of my senior years as I'm getting into my mid to late 30s. So yeah, that's not really part of my crypto journey, but yeah, definitely sports have always been a part of my journey because I played baseball and rugby in college, and then I continued playing rugby all the way up until I was in Belgium in June. I was in Fiji in January
Wow.
playing, and now all I'm doing is eating and getting fat while I'm not playing. So easy peasy on that. But yeah, I actually got in when I was in Spain. I was visiting a buddy in Spain back in October of 17, I think. That we started talking more in depth about different things going on, and we actually both talked each other into buying our first stuff back in October, some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, and just started that thing. But I'd say, I threw a chunk of money in there. I was working in the tech industry and in different things. Saw it ride up, saw it dump off. Like it wasn't like I was selling the top of that. I wasn't nearly in a position to even understand tops and cycles and all that. It was
Yeah.
getting my feet in. And then, I always that really intrigued me and it got me excited about the industry. And around 2019, I started looking at like, okay, Bitcoin, I think jumped down to 3K at one point, looked at injecting over into that. And I just kind of was in that realm where I always knew it was coming back, but it was about timing. And so I was doing little moves like that throughout time. But then in 2020, at the early part of the summer, I finally was like, well, if you think it's coming back, like at some point you have to dive in and actually prepare for this next phase of what you're at least game plan wise is going. So I started looking at different YouTube videos, trying to find communities. I started my Twitter account by I think August that year, started understanding how it worked, ran up DeFi Summer, had Uniswap. I got on all those things, the beginning of those whole trends, and obviously rode it up into September. DeFi summer was crazy, and then September was an absolute bloodbath, and that again reset me to. I had a decent amount of money, like I had some extra spending money because I had been working for a while in tech, and so I was a little bit more frivolous with how I injected. And then you hit that September and it's a reset. It's I need to take the it was easy button again, DeFi summer. I need to take this more serious. How do I get better? And that's when it was, how do I get deeper? How do I get further? Because I'm hearing from the last person. I'm hearing from a YouTube video, from a Twitter
Mm.
influencer. I don't have a community yet. And so in that moment, I think I had 10 followers at that point or something. I was like, I'm going to work my way up this chain. I'm going to do anything it takes. I'm going to listen to every live call. I'm going to jump on anything I can to network, basically just like the business world, work my way up and meet all of these people. So over that next year, I was able to really network into things, gain a bit of following, get deep, make some good calls, have some people. Basically, what you had to do in those days, you had to put a fishing line out there, which is basically you had to choose maybe your best play, and you had to try and get in with a person by replying to somebody and getting interaction from a big account. And then eventually you would shoot your shot and you'd be like, this is my golden goose in a way. I'm taking a shot and I'm getting it to you early. I've researched it and everything. And I started to hit on a few of the things I'd researched out. And with that, I said, hey, if I hit on this, will you shout me out on your profile as a bigger account?
Okay.
And so that kind of started my whole journey. By one person shouted me out, I shot straight to 1,000 followers because
Oh, wow.
it's Capo's had a million names. It's not the Bear Capo, but the cool account Capo. He was the first person to shout me out, and then a bunch of other people, and then ended up growing my account. And then I was able to network into being earlier in this industry, which we all know That's the difference between having a great opportunity and being absolutely exit liquidity. So that was my early days. And then, of course, that spun into I left my company job, shifted into building a company here, developing out platforms, products, things, launches, worked with different studios, worked with different companies,
Okay.
doing that for years. And now I do advising for several different companies in the space and do a bunch of speculative investing, jumping into platforms and just having fun and streaming and having a good time, enjoying the space because I love it.
So how does one get into? I'm actually always been curious about this when it comes to advising, because how does one get into advising in crypto? How do you work your way into that in that space?
You basically have to network in and then have enough knowledge to be able to start helping people. Like basically, it's how you'd advise somebody in anything. If
Yeah.
you're great at rugby, if I first have to prove that I am great at that thing and create a strategy behind it, and then I have to start helping certain people, and then they start to pass you around and you basically start by just doing it without getting paid for it. You
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
enough, you
Okay.
help
Yeah.
enough things, and they're like, oh, talk to Brandon. He helped me exactly with that thing. And it turns from you're helping. It's same thing with building the networks. It starts with goodwill and you just doing things. And then eventually you can get enough backing and track record that you know that, hey, it's worth charging for that thing.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you in that, and like that's something I would love to get into in the future, like especially with gaming, because I feel like I feel like I see a lot of the problems, and I'd like to advise help people, especially with the finances, like getting like just managing your money better, so you can have more runway, right? Because that's the most important thing. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that,
I'd say a
man.
lot of I'd say the biggest hesitation people have is there's a big difference, and this has nothing to do with what you just said, so don't take it like that. But there's a big difference between everybody feels like they should be able to do something and they feel like they've got the best idea in the room. Very few people act on it.
Yeah.
So there's where the line gets drawn is who's going to be the one who goes and starts making those calls happen, starts getting the meeting set with people,
Mhm.
starts positioning themselves over because let's say there's 100 people with the same mindset, one or two of them are actually going to start pursuing it to the point that they get in the meeting with somebody and or fail at 15 meetings to try and get one, and they get the one set and that one turns into two. That conference gets you the meeting with that other person, which you sounds like you go to conferences. So I think that's what I think with most people the biggest thing to do is if you want to do something and you see yourself in that space, then see who's in that space right now and what they're doing. You kind of got to force yourself
Yeah.
into that bubble. And a lot of times that is donating a bit of time up front if it's a pivot from your background.
Absolutely, and that's exactly like this year has been like the year of conferences for me. I've tried to hit as many as I can,
Amazing
as
thing to
much
do.
as time off as I can get from
Yeah.
work. But yeah, no, the conferences are huge. I just love talking crypto. I love talking crypto. I love talking macro because like in my personal life, like there's nobody in my life that I can talk to this.
The same.
My wife is tired of hearing this stuff. Like,
I
like
don't talk about it.
8 years I've been barking up that tree, and she's like, okay, you know what you're doing. You do your thing now, right? So I'm doing all the investing for the family and stuff like that. But it's like it's tough because there's no one to talk to. There's no one to bounce ideas off. And so that's why I'm so heavily into X. Like so, like I loved doing the podcast, like talking to people, especially in this podcast. The whole idea is adoption pod because I just want to talk to everybody in this space. I didn't want to just like have one subject. I want to talk to everybody because it's all about mass adoption, and mass adoption means like different platforms, different people, different different strokes for different folks, right? You gotta talk to everybody. You gotta learn. And my idea behind here is like I think of Joe Rogan. It's like Joe Rogan's podcast. You go on his podcast. He's just teach me. I'm an idiot. Teach me what you're doing, right? Like so, like I'm literally learning here live because like everyone's journey. That's why I love to ask people like how you get in crypto because like I had a buddy from like Magic. I play Magic the Gathering. I play like a card game, and
Love Magic the Gathering.
yeah, so I was playing Commander, and my buddy's, hey, you hear about this Ethereum thing? It's like digital currency. It's Canadian. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Like, and that's how I got in. Like, I was so random, and then 8 years later, 9 years later, here we are, right? Like, you never know where it's gonna lead. And
The stories are usually simple. It's not as, a lot of people want to make up these crazy stories, but it's usually some conversation with a buddy.
yeah.
It's how everything starts. Oh, okay. Well, let's look at it.
Yeah, and then like now it's consumed me. I don't even know how to talk to like anything else about to regular people, because I'm just like, all I want to do is talk about finance, money, macroeconomics, crypto, and all this stuff like that. Because like when you're doing it every day, you don't really like. I don't watch TV too much. I don't really have like conversations with people about like, hey, what's on that TV show? I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's those are definitely things that we run into a lot in this industry. It's the obsessive personality. Me and a lot of others, sounds like you, like it's not uncommon to see the people who are just diehard about something and kind of obsess in that thing. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's a passion. It's really becomes a passion, and a lot of people are believers, and it goes a lot to the core infrastructure, the way they think and digest the world. And a lot of times when you're looking at true decentralized people, true Bitcoin foundational believers. So I can understand that. I've kind of kept myself a little bit where I don't really talk at all to my internal family about it first, because I don't want to even think about the stresses that come along with this picture and this world we live in.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, but I do these shows, I do stages, I do all that, and that's where I really consume and interact. And then when I step out of it, I basically am dead silent about this. I don't talk about it. I don't because I honestly don't want to explain it all. Maybe it's because I'm less patient. I just don't want to explain everything. I don't want to explain it to the point that then then the conversation would be valuable to me back.
Mm.
So I might as well just cancel it and just talk straight to the people that know on these type
I
of
feel
things.
you, man. I'm getting that point where some people, some people just can't, like, they got to want it for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I try to help people in my personal life that I know they're struggling, that, to understand the idea, not even just getting into crypto, just the idea of don't hold cash, buy assets, right? Like just that fundamental strategy. And it's tough because people, you've been taught your whole life to save money, right? And people got to question that, like, you don't save money if they're printing more money, right? It's the whole thing idea of Robert Kiyosaki, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad. So yeah, like I try to help people. Like, I don't know if it's like you, like I got into crypto, I learned this space, and like now I just want to help people. I want to use this knowledge that I've gotten to, and this is why we do the podcast, and I'm sure it's why you guys do education on your show. Is like, now you have all this knowledge, like now we want to pass it on and help others get into this space, because and they can learn from all of our mistakes. That's why we read books. For example, you read a book because you can read a book on somebody that's lived a whole life already, and maybe you won't make some of the mistakes that they did, right? You can skip ahead. And same idea with crypto, through our mistakes, through scams like that I just mentioned earlier, that people can get in, and maybe now they won't have to deal with the scam because now they've heard about it and they know what to look for.
Yeah, you got to pass on the information, and a lot of times there's a lot of things we can share, a lot of mistakes we've made that can ideally help people avoid that or speed up the process to success. I didn't the space when I came into it, and probably similar time when you came into it, it wasn't as easy to navigate it. And I'd still say it's not necessarily easy to navigate. It still doesn't have tutorials or things that easily accessible, but it does help to quickly get tapped in with the right people. And I think having podcast stages, streams, spaces, whatever that is, where some are you're just kind of telling, and then others are people can come up, ask questions, interact, have conversations, and having different mediums as different people consume in different ways or have different levels. I think it helps a lot because certain people might have what seems like a dumb question somebody, but there's tons of people sitting there in the audience that actually have the same question and only one was willing to ask it.
Absolutely.
So the
Yes.
more we talk, the better.
I totally agree with you because I've been that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's watching BitBoy back in the day, man, just sitting there and just learning. Like forget about his personality and what the hell and his whole crash out. I learned about a lot of different blockchains on that show and Altcoin Daily, and the typical people like I wouldn't know what Cardano was, or like I knew about Bitcoin and Ethereum. That was it. But like all the other ecosystems was all YouTube. Everything I've ever learned was from YouTube, and then getting into the weeds and reading about it, and then getting in the weeds of the 4 year cycle and all all that stuff. Right? It starts a real big journey, and then like I feel like everybody in the crypto space, at least that I've known, they're all trying to grow, be a better person, like grow financially, educationally, like they're trying to be more intellectually, like, and that's what I really love about the space. It's all people trying to grow as a human, not so much just grow their portfolio. They're just people striving for to be better, and that's what I love, man. That's what pushing me for it. And it also sees like people like like you building in the space, and everybody building their show and their platforms and education is like it's motivating because like I want to keep doing it.
Yeah, I think you also have to. I think one of the things I see all the time is people try and be prescriptive in moments that don't make sense to be prescriptive. Like the truth is people will tell you all the time, especially people with influence or influencer KOLs, whatever corny term you want to use on X, they'll a lot of times tell you what you should do. You should do this, you should do that, you should buy this, you should buy. The truth is, and I came from being in finance for a few years before I pivoted on more tech, building tech services and things. But the truth is not enough people ask questions. The reason we have our show and the reason we have different conversations around strategy is there really isn't a silver bullet for everybody. The way I'm going to attack the market, the way you're going to attack the market are going to be completely different because we've got different family situations, we've got different financial situations, different risk tolerances. And that's me to you, to the guy down the street, to the person in Portugal, to the person in Australia, to the father, the mother, the son, you name it, everyone's got something different. So if anybody's out there telling you definitively what you should do without knowing anything about your situation, they're not looking out for you. They're just being a voice out into the ether. So you have to look at people and create a network of people that are looking out for you. And you have to learn some of the skills of finance and managing your own finance, which is you have to understand that my situation and everyone else's situations are different. So if somebody gets a huge win, you don't know the positioning they had. You don't know how much money they had to willingly spend. There's people out there that could drop $1 million on a meme coin and it could go to zero and they wouldn't even blink an eye. And so if they get a big win, it could be $100 million win. It could be some monster win you could never dream of.
Yeah.
But your situations are drastically different. So I think that's a outlier example, but it's that kind of mindset of you have to kind of keep within yourself, not get over anxious about what you're seeing out there, and understand it's a day by day thing. If you're in the smaller liquidity world, then you just got to know it's not a home run. It's day by day. You have to get it bigger because then you're getting closer to putting more capital in plays, which then gets you closer to hitting a home run or getting that bigger life-changing move.
Absolutely. And look, see, I like to try to educate people on, if you want to do this, this is your risk. I want people to understand where their risk is, and then they can make the decision on what they want to use. Like some people just want to use a centralized exchange because it's convenient, right? And that's fine. But as long as you understand that the risk is, the counterparty risk of the exchange, of them staying liquid and having the funds, you have to understand it's just like a bank, right? And then like having a cold storage wallet, if you lose the device, you lose your seed phrase and whatever. Like, understanding where your risks are, I think is super important. So you can educate people on that, and they can make their own decisions. When it comes to trading, I tell people, like what I do and what you do are very two different, because we have two totally different risk tolerances. I'm a risk adverse trader. I have a structure. I use 1% of my portfolio per trade. I can only lose 1% of my portfolio per trade. But again, I'm not going to make as much money per trade, but my idea is like over time, I'm going to stack wins over time, and my account will grow. But that may not work for you. You may want to use 2 or 3% or 5% or 10%. That's up to you. I'm going to show you the structure that I use. You can plug it into whatever you're doing. And like you said, if somebody has $1 million, they're going to make a bunch of money on this trade. You can do the same thing, just the numbers will be smaller. You can do the same structure. You can follow along. That's why I love demo trading. Like if you're into trading, like and you don't know what you're doing, just follow along, demo trade, get comfortable with using the platform, get comfortable with all this kind of stuff, and then put real money into the market.
I just know that most accounts are lying. The truth is that most accounts on X are lying.
Mm-hmm.
Like what they have. I know a lot of bigger accounts personally, and if I message them about a play they call, it's completely different than if whatever they put out on X. And it's also the profits. It's easy to take a profit screenshot one time,
Yeah,
or to get somebody else's profit screenshot, or to Photoshop something. So just be very cautious of the narrative that gets put out. In a lot of ways, people justify putting out lies with a lot of, oh, it's just social media, oh, it's just content, oh, it's just entertainment. And it's like,
absolutely.
well, they they screwed somebody over, they completely tricked people, and then they'll justify in their mind that moment. So I'm not saying everyone's evil, but just know that a lot of what you see on socials or the 9-figure profit or whatever, most of the time people took a screenshot from someone else. They're, shoving something around, and until they get called out on it,
Yeah,
it is what it is. They act like it's real, but then somebody calls them out like, oh, was it clearly a joke? Clearly I didn't do
yeah,
that. So just don't fall into the game, and that can make people very depressed, seeing these massive wins everywhere, and it
mm-hmm.
feels like you can't get a win. The market's been beating you up all year, and all you see from the influence is all these wins. No, a lot of people lost a lot this year.
Oh yeah.
That's just the reality. A lot of people got washed, especially recently with leverage plays. People got absolutely hammered on some of these recent moves.
Yeah, it's I find being in the space, maybe it takes time. You just gotta stick around and be here for a long time. But one thing for me that I've learned is just as I've gained more knowledge, as I've been around longer, I found out who to listen to. And like you
Yeah.
said, building trust. And I find like when I joined a trading group, I don't know if you know Sam Price, and I watch his streams every day. Like he shows how to do streams. He shows exactly how much he puts in. He's also, and where I pay to be in his Discord and everything like that. And he puts his trades in, and you can see that's genuine. And he's literally just trying to teach you. This is my setup. This is over and over and over a year. It's the same setup over and over. He says, "This is what I do. This is how I do it. Like a robot. I get into trade, and if it doesn't flash my model, I don't trade. That's it. It's simple as that." And that's kind of what I'm trying to mimic. I'm trying to teach, like use his teachings and put that out to the world too. In maybe my little spin on it, but it's his model. Like I'm just trading his model because it works. Like he's a very good trader, and and I tell people that like I'm not a professional trader. I'm literally a student, and I'm here doing it live with you. So what I'm doing is it's not financial advice, of course, because I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm showing you what I do, and then you can do for yourself. Try it, right? If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, right? Everybody is different, and like kind of going on what you said, like everybody looks at the world differently. You were raised differently. Your brain works differently. You're not going to think the way I think, but all I can do is show you a structure.
That's like the thing where everybody always wants an exit. Like, okay, you gave me this play, but when do I get out? I don't really agree with the thing of, I don't think anybody should tell you when to get out of a position, whether it's a trade, a coin, whatever, because that again comes down to your specific life situation. And most people don't know enough about your situation. So it's, somebody can give you a good entry, whether that's on a coin that you're speculating on, or whether that's on a trade itself. And the exit, like a lot of people want everything. Oh, give me the entry, give me the exit, give me they just want to follow and just make, oh, can I just give you my money and then you'll make the
Oh
trades
my
for
god.
me? Or
My
it's
sister
every
told me that.
day.
My sister's like, "I'll give you my
Yeah.
money, you do it." I'm like, absolutely not."
Yeah, it's the worst decision you can make. The
No.
worst decision you can make, because everything's on you. The one moment you do that will be the one moment it all goes sideways. You have to always let people make their decision in the end,
Yeah.
and they have to own that. This is what like you said, this is what I'm doing. If you want to follow, you follow. That's your choice. But I'm not telling you to follow. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
telling you to buy what I'm buying, because if I lose it all, I was completely okay with that, but I don't want to feel the weight of you losing it all, because it feels way worse when somebody else loses a bunch on something you told them to do than
Mhm.
when you lose it. It's like,
Absolutely. And
at
like
least for me, I hate that.
like for example, I may value $100 differently than you value $100, right? Depending on how much
Yeah.
capital you have, the more money you make, the less you value small amounts. Like for example, like I know traders that are multi-millionaires, and they'll be in a trade and they'll be up or down $1,000, and $1,000 is nothing to them. That's like what that would be 1% of their portfolio. But for me, if I'm down $1,000, I'm sweating a little bit, right? So like I would never, first of all, I would never trade $1,000 portfolio unless I have like a bigger portfolio. Like I'm literally trading with, like right now I'm doing like I'm on VDEX, and I'm trying to bring like like $200, bring it up to $1,000. We're not doing so well right now, but we're trying to get up there.
Well, and I think that's the thing is, and then this has nothing to do with VDEX specifically or anything, but you just have to be very cautious if you're going leverage, unless you're really good at what you're doing. Trading with a spot or spending a lot of time on paper trades is a very responsible thing to do. This we've gotten in this newest generation, especially the younger one, is even if you look at social media, the influencers are gamblers, and so they're heavily doing gambling when we're talking about just straight gambling platforms. Plus, and there's nothing wrong with gambling, but that's just what they're kind of teaching. Which leverage, it's getting pushed there. Everything is getting pushed towards these types of high risk platforms with people that tend to not be as experienced or not really know money management that well. So it's kind of in this chaos realm. And I have no problem with any gambling or leverage platforms, but it is a very easy way to lose your money if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't have management strategies, like you're saying, 1% deployments, things like that. So I'd caution anybody who uses those things, first, spend the time to learn a bit more, partner with people that are good and reference things, and then ramp the leverage way down to, or go zero leverage for a while, go spot. I mean, the truth is, there's a good chunk of people who should never touch leverage because they're just not good enough at the markets. And it's kind of like an irresponsible thing to just, unless you think, here's my counter to that, unless you think of it as gambling. Like if you go, hey, I'm scoring 100x and I'm literally willing to burn this money right now, $100, boom, $100, boom. If you think about it like you're at the casino when you're doing high leverage, then fine. You at that point have decided you're gambling, and it's totally good.
But it's money you're willing to lose. You've already mentally, it's gone, right?
It's all or nothing. You're like, I'm going 100x and this thing's dead or it's going somewhere. Like there's no, I don't care. I'm not going to take a loss. I'm just going to take a zero or a. So
I've said this many times before. I leverage trade with a tiny amount of my overall portfolio, like nothing, peanuts. I spot trade. That's where I make most of my money in trading. It's spot trading. It's buying in the bear market and buying swing trades. Every time we have, a big dip or a big pump, I sell. And then when you have a 20% or a 10% dip, I buy. And that's it. And I just hold it for a couple months, and then boom, we go up again. Like that's all it is. Like people get so caught up in these 100x's, 10x's, 50x's, whatever.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like in traditional finance, you're hoping to make 20% a year. So if you make 3 trades and you make 20% on each of those trades, you're good. You can pay, depending on how much capital you have. But if you have enough capital, you can make 3 trades a year and you're good. You paid yourself for the whole year. Like that's like, I think people need to stop looking at the dollar value and understand percentages. Making 20% in a trade or 10% a trade is very good. Making 3% in a trade, because if you make 10 trades a year and you make 3% in each trade, that's pretty good. You're doing better than the S&P 500. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so people have to understand.
Well, it's again, it's tough. Like that's so dependent on situation. Like if you're doing 3% return on 10 trades on 1/100th of your portfolio and 1% trades, then you're not getting that true return on your full portfolio, where you might have a bigger portfolio in the S&P. So you have to kind of look at everything.
Depends how much capital you're playing with. But what I'm saying, if you're playing with small amounts of capital, you shouldn't be doing these 100x trades. You're going to get liquidated so fast. If you're spending, if someone, I'm trying to cater to people that don't have as much finance and they have little, and they're trying to make a little bit. Like I know a lot of like my followers are from Nigeria. They don't have a lot of money, but they're doing trading and they're making a little bit here and there. So the idea is to compound those small little gains using that 1% strategy, and make that account get grower, where the 1% becomes bigger, and then you can trade with a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then compound those returns over time. But like, you don't need to chase like, I need 100x in a crypto. Like if you buy Cardano, it goes up 30%. That's a pretty damn good return. Like, you know what I mean? Like take some even if you only take 15% profit, take profit.
It's so tough because it's so dependent on situations.
Yes,
Because
it's
I'm
personal
with you on
finance is
that. Like,
personal.
yeah, because with big money, it makes sense to go for percent gains, like real smoke. But I totally get it if you're in a developing country and you want to take much higher risks with small percents of your portfolio because you're trying to escape a pretty tough situation. So it's like I can understand both sides of
It also depends on your time
whoever's
horizon.
in that. Yeah, because exactly. You could be. I totally get either side of that equation in a country where it can make a big difference. Somebody who's like, yeah, I'm willing to do this for 10 years to get out of this. And then others are like, I need to get out of this. I'm not in a good situation and I need to take very big risks to do this. And I just need to hope that out of the 100 shots that I take on goal, that I do run into 15 real solid shots that get me those big gains and they can get me rolling. And like you said, we run into people from a lot of different countries in a lot of different situations. And that's, again, exactly what we're talking about here. It's so hard to establish generic plans.
Yeah.
You basically have to talk to everybody individually, and they have to think for themselves.
I think it's important to push.
Somebody who goes all or nothing?
I think it's important to push that, like, for people to make their own decisions. It's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, reiterate the fact. It's like, this is what I'm doing doesn't mean you should be doing it. Because and understanding and explaining, you know, like for me, for example, I say I'm a long-term thinker. I have a long time horizon. I'm gonna be here for the next 20 years or so on and so forth, and that's why I do the things I do. And understand like your risk profile based on your time horizon. If you have a long time horizon, you don't need as much risk. If, like I said, if you have the sense of urgency, you need to get out of. To be honest, if you don't have a lot of money and you want a sense of urgency, I would recommend you invest that money in yourself, take a course, do something, upgrade your skills, and make some revenue. Then put it in the market, because I believe that's a better long term strategy. I wouldn't be just diving into the trading and hoping that you're gonna get out of your situation, because statistics are not on your side. Trading, like, how many traders are like profitable? It's like 3.5% of all traders in the world are like profitable. It's a tough game. I suck at it, and I'm
surprised it's even that much.
It's low. I just saw the stat earlier today, and it's not much. Like a lot of, and like 97% fail.
And the upskill is totally it. I think you're spot on with that. That's where if I was in a developing country where I need it, in a country that I'm trying to get out or getting out of a situation in a low income, whether that's developing, whether that's in the US, there's plenty of areas that are struggle. Yeah, there are plenty of skills that allow you to be anywhere to do them, developing things like that, especially in tech, translation. There's all sorts of things you could start developing to do anywhere, and that you can make pretty good money for the location you're in. You're a developer and you're located somewhere else. They don't even necessarily have to know where you're located in a lot of scenarios.
Absolutely. I don't know if you're familiar with Jordan Peterson. So I watch Jordan Peterson a lot, and he says something and it really stuck with me. It says, when you pull people out of poverty, they actually start to develop a long-term mindset, because they have hope. They can think for the future now, instead of just thinking short-term. Because when you're in poverty, you're only thinking about keeping your head above water. Where am I going to get my next food? Where am I going to you're just putting out fires. But when you actually get to pull yourself out of poverty, and you can, you have your basic necessities covered, you can actually start thinking for the future. And I think that's leads into what I was saying about get educated, make some revenue, some income, and then now that you got your basic needs met, you can start thinking for the future, take less risk, because the tried and true tested strategy is low risk, just dollar cost average over time, and you're going to be okay, right? And that is what I would suggest. Like, educate yourself, especially with AI right now. Like, there's so much opportunity in AI, and if you got a phone, you got a laptop, like, you got all you need to be successful in this life.
Yeah, making decisions out of desperation, and that can be trades, especially, it leads to emotion, which leads to most likely when you have to make a play, you rarely make a play. Like that's probably the highest probability of when I've screwed something up is when I'm in a stress scenario. I'm like, oh, I need this. When you start saying I need this to win, it's all over for you. You
Yeah.
might as well just chalk it up. It's game over. You're about to take a bullet in the trade.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'll really chew you up and spit you out when it comes to trading. Like it's crazy. Like I was in a trade yesterday, and I had my model, had my target price, and I'm like, I I'm looking at the chart. I'm like, I don't feel great about this. Like it was I was up in the green, and I'm like, shit, I had a problem where almost all my trades have been pretty much in the green, but the thing is, I stay in them too long. And they go to
Yeah,
red, right? And I'm
easy to
like,
do.
because like I'm so married to that price target, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna go to the target. So what I've been doing now is I'm trying to like, yeah, I'm in profit, I'll take it. I'm up 15,
Yeah.
20%, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't hit my market, because if I continue to do this over time, even if it's small wins, I'll scrimp and I'll scrape, and eventually my portfolio will go up. That's all it is. As long as I win more than I lose, I don't care. And the percentage doesn't matter. The dollar amount doesn't matter. Like I took a trade. The target price would have been $50 payout, but you know what? I sold at $10 because you know what? The chart, I wasn't feeling overly bullish, but and I didn't want to go to sleep on it, so I'm like, screw it. And thank God I got out of it because today we dumped.
Well, that's exactly it. It's the biggest difficulty in this space is fighting greed. We all have it and we all run into it face to face constantly. And whether you're in denial that that's what it is or not, once you start realizing greed is what everybody has deep down, even the people who don't think they have it, that's that moment when you say, hey, it's got a little bit more juice to squeeze. It's just it's just got a little bit left. Oh, you know what? I'm getting out in 3x's. Ooh, it's at 3x's. I think it's a 5x play.
Yeah, no,
that's
absolutely.
that's not meant to be a negative. It is the natural greed instinct in everybody, and we all get buried by that emotion instead of this is my plan, stick to it. And the fact that if I get 3x's over and over again, that gets me to 100x a lot faster than me waiting for that singular 100x
Yep.
and never coming or getting buried by 1,000 things or round tripping 30x's over and over. 3x, 2x, 3x, 5x, 2x, 3x, 5. Before you know it, that
It
portfolio
adds
is
up.
way bigger than the home run play.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I could not agree more. That's exactly how I plan to build, my trading portfolio is these little wins over time, and and I'm trying. That's why I was gonna add more to my VDEX portfolio because when I got into the when I got to that exchange, I was just trying it out, right? But like
Yeah.
I said, screw, I'm gonna leave the small amount because I'm gonna challenge myself for one. It's a challenge for me because it's really hard to bring a small amount up to a high amount because like it's $10 here, $5 there, $2 there. You know what I mean? It's a lot of small trades um, to get up there, and you don't have a lot of room for error, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a challenge because like if I can do it, you can do it because I'm not special. I'm not better than anybody else. You know what I mean? Like that's I want to show that if I can do it. But it really like trading really makes you a better person. Like it gets you in touch with your emotions, and if you can control your emotions and just trade like a robot, like this is the structure, this is what should happen, and I'm in on this, and if this changes, I'm out. That's what you got to be, and it's so hard. I can say it's easy to say, it's almost impossible to do. But repetition, just keep going at it, don't give up.
I think that's exactly it. When you look at the do as I say, not as I do, you could say that to all the time when it comes to my stream and the conversations we have. If you listen to me, you'll go way further than if you were copy trading me on everything.
Mhm.
That's just I wish it wasn't the case, but
It's a mindset. Like trading is a mindset.
it is.
It really is, and you have to change the way you think because you're going against your natural human emotion.
Yeah, and
S-
that's the hardest thing to do. Emotions are what screw us all up
so
in
speaking of
this
trading,
in everything we do.
I don't know if you want to stick. I'm gonna jump in the charts So I don't know
Yeah, go ahead and jump in.
if you want to. I don't know if you are into trading, but we're gonna jump in and see what's going on with these markets because they have been a shit show. All right.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I was looking at them earlier, and I've been hoping that it got bullish while we were talking.
So I'm gonna start with the big time frames and work my way down, and then you let me know what you think. So I've been tracking this. So whoever's been watching the adoption pod for the last weeks, many weeks, we've been trading this monthly rising wedge. Now I don't know if you guys are familiar with rising wedges. They are a reversal pattern, and they break down more likely than they don't. I was kind of hoping for us to bounce it up in this channel a little bit more because we could have made new all-time highs. Like the top of this channel is 138,000 and it can bounce all the way up to 152. So I would love for it to get back, but unfortunately we kind of lost it. Now what I'm hoping is this white line. So I don't know what kind of moving averages you use. I like to use the 200-day moving average, which is my blue line, and I use the 21-day moving average. And as we can see here in the monthly, like we just love to come back to that 21-day moving average. We wick below it, but like the body stays above it. So when we had that all-time high in February of 2024, 7-month consolidation, got back to the 21-day, made a new all-time high, back to the 21, all-time high, back to the 21, and we're here right now. So we're here at the 21-day moving average, and like it's make or break. I feel like for crypto, because like either we have this, which is kind of scary. We have a shoulder, head, and a shoulder potentially, or we just touch the 21 and do what it's done the past 2 times. What do you think on that? Do you think we're gonna bounce from here, or do you think we're gonna make that head and shoulders?
I've been thinking on this a lot lately. I've been because it is really do or die time. We're in that real realm first from the cycle standpoint, second from market like a chart structure standpoint, going under the 200, dropping under the it's just dropping under a lot of levels or right around a lot of levels. I know kind of getting to 108, 110. We would like to see that. Would like to see strength through that level to see that continuation, hopefully.
Yeah.
But we actually had William on from the Rise Up Morning Show a couple weeks ago, who's really sharp in this, and he brought up a great point, even more theoretical, around that there wouldn't be. If you look at the fact that midterms are next year and you look at kind of the things they're putting in place with quantitative easing, a lot of these different things, that there is just like there is a play for letting it do whatever it's going to do through the end of the year and then really pushing it in 2026 to make the market look as bullish as possible for a midterm. And I thought that was an intriguing realm, but that's outside of pure chart structure. So me, I'm a guy who will always fall bullish on where I want to see it go, but I can't act like I'm not in a nervous state of where it's sitting right now.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. It's weird. When you look at the macro says we're going up, baby. Like we're just getting started. Like that's what the macro
makes
says.
No sense.
So makes
no sense.
The quantitative tightening stops December 1st. So we technically haven't stopped quantitative tightening yet. And I don't know, man. So the macro doesn't make sense to me. But then I'm also like, the 4-year cycle, like we've usually ended, post halving year. Do I believe we can spill into Q1 of 2026? Possibly, but like I wouldn't say Bitcoin would. I would say altcoins could spill in, just like they did in 2017. You had altcoins spill into January of 2018, and that was the top of Ethereum, right? I think it was like January, February of 2018, and that could happen again, possible. So I'm at this point now, like my mental state is like, I don't know what's going to happen. So all I have is these key levels on the chart. Now I'm just like day by day. And I have my support and resistance lines. So we had here, like, 80,000 potentially. If we lose this 21-day moving average, the next, like, we're stopping here. Like, I don't see why we don't right here. And then, the next thing would be the retest the high back in March 2024, which was like, what, 71,000 or 74,000, something like that, depending if you want to use the body or the wick.
Which moving average is the red? Is the red one?
So the red is the 20-day. The white is the 21-day. So that's
Oh,
that.
there's a 20 and a 21 on here.
Yeah, so I'm using I use 50, 100, 200, 21. The 21 is the SMMA, the smooth moving average. It's a little bit more, I find a little bit more accurate.
I think there's a CME gap at like 90 to 92, somewhere in that range. So if we broke down, you'd think you just based on history, you probably hammer through that. I think we probably bounce off that 21 or the 20 day. I mean, the red.
Mm-hmm.
That would be to me an area if we went down. That could be a very strong area to start finding
Yeah.
some level of hard support. If we drop below that, you're really looking at like, okay, things could get ugly here. But I think to me, I'm still in the realm of I'm bullish, even if it's a longer term before it gets there, and we have to see the high 80s, 90s. That would give me, if we can just hold there, the more that, and it goes back to what you said, the macro environment. It's too hard for me to hear and see so many things going around adoption to say, yeah, because of the cycle theory, we just have to give up on these dream scenarios that literally come out every single day and are scheduled for all of 2026. I just don't get it. And you look at even Eric Trump and the different companies they're running in the mining companies, they're buying $500 million of Bitcoin or mining at mass. Like if I'm looking at all the signs that would point in a direction, it doesn't, like you said, from a macro standpoint, it doesn't make any sense to just dump into oblivion.
It's really tough because you can make like I wrestle with this every day because like I can make really good arguments for both sides.
Yeah.
Like, right. So like I'll tell you one thing. There's one thing I noticed on the weekly here, and let me see if you've seen this. So on the weekly, I've noticed let's see here. So basically, since 2023, we went above the neutral line. So we went above the 50 line on the RSI. Now the RSI hasn't really lost that neutral line too much. Like we could dip below it a bit, but we haven't really gone back to the bottom of the channel this entire bull run. Now I'm seeing on the weekly that we're kind of back at these levels. So the back at the lows that we've had previously, if you see my thing here, so we've come, we're basically back at these levels. So I'm waiting. What I'm waiting to see now is a bounce. We have a, you know, if you look at the stochastic RSI, it looks like it could be a double bottom playing out, like something, you know, like this double bottom, right? We can have a double bottom playing out on the stochastic. But yeah, I'm hoping for a bounce. That's what I'm watching for. Like every day, every week that goes by, I'm watching this RSI. Like, do we break structure? Because we haven't broke structure since 2023. And that's what I'm going on. Like like I said, I don't know what's gonna happen. So what I did, I took a bunch of profits. I took a bunch of profits that I'm happy with.
Fair move.
And I have money. I still have money in the market in case the macro does play out, and we still have, if it spills into 2026. But like I'm okay with round tripping what I have left. You know what I mean? And I believe I'm in good projects. Like I severely reduced my risk in my altcoins. I'm in like 3 or 4 altcoins and Bitcoin. That's it. And then like you have to find out, I'm a very risk adverse individual. Like the way my family raised me, like my parents are poor, so like they were risk averse. I'm way more risky compared because I'm in crypto, but like to them, but I don't see it as a risk.
It's one of the best ways to play things. You know, I'm pretty high on the risk tolerance scale, but the smartest way to play things is the way you're playing it for most people. That I'm not saying most people play it that way, but one of the best ways, because what that helps you do is probably exactly what you're feeling, is your stress level and emotion comes way down because it's not so dependent on the market. So you can make plays much more clearly. And then you can see when it breaks back above these levels. It's not that I can't re-enter. I might miss 3% of that move, 5% of that move, but I'm fine because I didn't lose 40% of my portfolio
absolutely,
in the down.
You nailed it on the head, man. Like exactly. Like I find for me personally, it's about managing my emotions. I know how my brain
100%.
works. So I have to, like, for me, it's about having like eggs in a bunch of baskets, and then like planning for multiple different scenarios. Cause like I never stop thinking. Like I'm always in my head. So like I'm always coming up with these scenarios, trying to like, argue my way out of something and making, changing your personal thesis. Because the idea, like for me, I believe, and I'm sure you've heard this before, the idea of high intelligence is being able to change your mind with a new subset of data. So I'm trying not to be biased by, for me, like I like that 4-year cycle. I'm kind of married to it, but like I'm like I don't want to be biased to it because we have a whole new subset of investors with institutional investors. So
Yeah.
you have to acknowledge that the behavior of the new holders of crypto are going to be very different. Long-term holders, they're not looking to liquidate. They're thinking about long-term, and they're playing with like maybe 1% of their portfolio. They're playing with nothing, so they don't care to sell. They want to hold this for the future. So that's the way I look at it. It's like if the behavior is changing, then the charts are going to look different. That's almost like leading to the idea of like a Bitcoin super cycle, because this bull market is basically just looked like up and to the right, but not aggressively, not like a like a parabolic move. It's just up and to the right, kind of like the S&P did ever since 2008.
I'm a firm believer in that Bitcoin is a store of value and that it is in the realm of a digital gold.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a pure only thing, but in my thought process, it is the higher gold went and the higher gold goes, the more bullish I am on Bitcoin's catch-up trade. Not to say that's tomorrow, not to say that's in a week or a month, but send gold as high as you want. And I have no hate or love any particular order for gold, but I firmly believe the gap will close between the two. And it doesn't, even closing just a little bit is a massive Bitcoin move. And every year, the younger generation's more comfortable buying crypto and Bitcoin and it being their store of value. So you fast forward 10 years plus down the road when it's in people's 401ks, it's part of their everyday investing.
Yeah.
And the older generations are slowly leaving that touch gold. It's hard to not see that being I'm more bullish. I would say this in simplification form. I'm more bullish on Bitcoin over 100K than I was on Bitcoin from 20 to 60K or 60 to 80K. Like I've been more bullish to like you know what, I'm going to get after this, where I paused for a while because I had it early because it was middle ground. We hadn't really gotten that next level of ability to buy and institutions and this and that. All of that macro stuff you talked about is in play now. So how can I not be, if I believe store of value, looking at that as a hedge against inflation and a hedge in my portfolio for the next 10 years?
Absolutely. And they're building the infrastructure right now, like with stable coins, and the Clarity bill is going to be coming. The Genius bill is passed. Like it's going to be in your traditional bank. It's going to be everywhere. And like, just think about, like, I think about hedge funds and pensions, and just 1% of pensions getting into the Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin stocks, or however they want to get allocated to it. That's like the tsunami of money that's going to come into the market. Like, it may become to Bitcoin first, and then it's going to trickle its way to, other ecosystems as people get in. They get into one thing first, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, XRP, and then they're going to learn. Like, once they're in, now you got skin in the game, you start to learn, you start to branch out, because now you're involved, right? When you're investing is a lifestyle. It's not just like something you do. Like, you get involved with your money. It's important to be involved with your money. Like, you don't just, I think the days of set and forget it don't exist anymore, because back in my parents growing up, you can put your money, make 13% at the bank, no problem, high interest savings account, and you did all right. Where now, like, you have to be so much more involved. That's why Wall Street bets exists, right? Because people go on there, and the whole herd mentality of finding a stock and getting into it, and doing the research, and everybody does the research on it, and so you work together to pool money together. And that's what happened with GME, right? Like, someone did the research and found out it was undervalued, and people were doing the shorting structure, and they taught everybody about it, and then lo and behold, you see what happened, right? And unfortunately, the younger generation, just, they have to be more risky, because your dollar's getting printed to infinity, and the idea of what your parents had is like a pipe dream, unless you take more risk. So I think the risk appetite for younger people are going to be just naturally higher, because you have no choice. And that's why you're going to see you're seeing what you're seeing with gambling, right? With people, because it's, for me, unfortunately, it's desperation. Like, money, and
Yeah.
as a store of value for Bitcoin, money goes where it's treated best, right? And people, historic, like, I'm a big advocate of history, and throughout history, humans have always fled to safety. That's why we migrate to different countries. That's like, we always go to safety, and that's where money goes. And you're literally seeing money live going to safety, which is, that's why gold had a huge rally this year, and that's why Bitcoin also is the same play, the same exact play.
It's true. It's totally true, and it's unfortunate that this is. I saw the other day a video talking about that exact thing, that was talking about how this generation's, in a lot of ways, the first generation that's worse off than their parents or any other generation before it, from a buying power and ability to move forward in life perspective. I mean, you got to think about the amount of money it takes to buy a home now, with these rates, especially. It's almost unbuyable for outside of the very top earners, in the younger generation. So the ability to, which is impacting a lot of things, which extends the age of people getting married. It extends the
Yep.
age of people having kids, because financially you don't have the ability to survive doing the normal cadence of things that we saw 50, 70 years ago. You just don't have any ability financially to handle that.
And that's why you have the rise of the dinks, the dual income, no kids, right? Like, because people are just giving up. It's like, fuck, I might as well just enjoy my life and go travel and do things, because I'm never going to be able to afford a house. It's
Yeah, then what are you supposed to do? You got no option. And so you do what you have to do, and that's where we are seeing, on top of the dink scenario, is people are trying to find any way to make money online with a side hustle, which is becoming crypto, which is becoming, in a lot of ways, prediction markets, gambling.
Yep.
You've got anything to try and get something going to bridge that gap, even with dual incomes, is sometimes not enough.
No, it depends on what you do, right?
Yeah.
So looking at Bitcoin on
What
the
do you see
shorter
on
term,
there?
this is the daily. The daily doesn't look
Okay.
good. We lost the 200-day moving average, and I show people this all the time. If you guys are probably tired of me talking about this. When we have price pumps, when the moving averages start to separate and you can draw a circle, it's usually time to get out. You can see here, you can see here. You can go down to last time we made all-time highs. Draw a nice. Oops, you draw. Oh wow, hello. You can draw a nice big circle here, and that's usually when you want to get out of the market. And you can go backtrack this. Don't take my word for it. Go on a chart and play with it yourself, and
We
try.
talking about like golden crosses and all those different,
Not even
bearish and bullish indicators.
yeah, you can follow those indicators, but like, honestly, you just look at when the moving average start to separate. Again, it's pretty. I try to keep it as simple as possible. Just draw a circle. You can draw a circle, get out, and it usually is the case. But the same thing happens on the bottom side. When you can draw a circle when the price goes down, it's usually, you're likely leading to a reversal. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for, right now, it looks like we're kind of in a bear flag. We came into this bearish rectangle from a downtrend, which means continuation. Depending on how you want to draw your measure move, I like to be conservative and put it here. Some people like to put it here. So depending on which, this looks like we can probably go down to 97, which makes sense because we were kind of there already. We're just retesting 97 again, 98. If you want to put it here, that brings you down to 94, which again, pretty close to that 92 level we were talking about. And you just look at key levels, like, so if you're on TradingView, you can press Alt H, which will make a horizontal line. So I'm testing here, this top here, and then this next liquidity level here, which we've kind of already tested. And then, yeah, so if we pump down here, we're probably going to lose this level. 100,000, we'll retest 100,000. If we lose 100,000, you're looking at touching 97 again. And then if we lose that, then you're looking at that 92 level. I will tell you, in my trading group, there's something called Bookmap, which tells you shows you the heat map of where all people's liquidations are. And in my trading group, 92,000 is on that level. So when you said 92,000, I was like, yep, I know that level. So usually,
Yeah,
it likes.
it's interesting.
It's like a magnet for
Heat
price.
map wise, you're looking at, for one of the first times in a little while, we are starting to see a more balanced heat map when it comes to liquidation levels.
Mhm.
So that does add to the equation a little bit, where it was very heavily to the downside for a while, and then we came down here. It's starting to get a little bit more long going in there, so it might start counterbalancing the longer we stay, or increase a little bit. But right now, it could, at least there's not a heavy bias towards down or up from a heat map perspective, which is
Mhm.
nice, because when it's very big money to the downside, it's not usually good for us.
Absolutely. I try to keep it like, because we don't know where it's going to go. It's like 50-50 right now. And I'm not doing a whole lot of trades. Like,
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm not really going to get
dangerous zone
bullish.
to trade.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're getting just chopped out right now. And I like to trade. I like to trade when I have an edge. And the edge is the model. So I like to be above the 200-day moving average. So like, we're on the 1 hour now, right? So we're going to look a little short term here. So when the price action moves above the 200-day moving average, that's when I start to get a little bit more bullish, and then I will look for like the 1 hour to take the 200-day, then the 2 hour, 3 hour, 4, and so on and so forth, right? So the model that I like to teach is when the 21-day moving average crosses the 200, you get a nice price appreciation, you get a nice pump, right? And price likes to come back to that 21. This here we lost it. This was absolutely mayhem, but I like to look at I work my way down to smaller time frames, because I think of trading as like surfing. When you start surfing, the wave kind of starts, you feel the momentum and you ride the wave. You start when it's just starting out, and then you get to the whole apex where it starts to, like, curl and everything, and you just ride the wave. You just follow the flow of the move, and you go. I like to go back to the 1 minute chart, and I look at the 1 minute chart just to get my entry where I think a move is going to start. And you can backtrack this. I like to play around with it, like stare at the charts for a while, and you can back test this trade. And every time the 21 crosses the 200, and it flags out and it comes back. So what it'll do here is you have the 21 cross, you'll come back to the 21, you'll flag out back to 21 and bounce, and then it kind of just follows 21, and you don't lose the 200. So you can even put your trade here where it crosses. When it comes back to 21, you put your long here and you put your stop loss below the 200-day moving average and just ride it. And that's, as you can see, like, we're kind of starting a momentum move to the upside again. So like, if we're going to look for a reversal, it's going to start on the 1 minute, and it's going to make its way to the 3 minute.
Doesn't look half bad on the old 1 minute there.
No, absolutely not, right? So like, and that's what you got to follow. And just to go back, because something important to mention is this works better when you have low stochastics. So let's look back somewhere here. Low stochastics, low RSI, curving up. 21 crosses the 200. We made a flag. We came back to the 21. That's where you would put your entry and you put your stop loss below the 200-day moving average, and you would have been riding it all the way up to here, and before you had this nasty dump. But that would be a pretty nice trade, right? And you just follow the RSI and the stochastics. When we start to top out, it's time to get out, right? You just follow these waves. These are waves of momentum in the market, right? And then you move up your time frames, and you start to see if the 5 minute gets above the mark, then the 15 minute, then we can start leaving our trades for longer. But if the 5 minute is starting to get still bearish, like right now we're below the 200-day moving average. So now the 1 minute looked good, like we just said, and now the 5 minute is looking like the 21 is coming up to that 200, and we can anticipate a cross. So we can forecast a cross when we think this is going to happen by using our trend lines here, and somewhere around here at 2350, which is what, 1130 or 1150, we're going to have a potential cross. So we want price action to come up like this, and then blast through the 200, come back to the 21, and then we can just ride it up, right? And you don't have to get in on the 1 minute. You can just observe the 1 minute, and then as the bigger time frames start to do the same thing, it's more safer to get into the higher time as the higher time frames cross these key levels. But you can see the start of the move on the 1 minute. I wouldn't trade the 1 minute. 1 minute, if you ever trade the 1 minute, you're talking about emotions. You're going to be all over the place. But I look at the beginning of the move on the 1 minute, and then follow through to the other time frames to be able to feel like. And just like we don't like rounded tops, in crypto, rounded bottoms are pretty nice too. Rounded bottoms pay the bills, and we're starting to round on the 5 minute here.
These smaller time frames are are juicing us up. They're gassing us up a little bit
Absolutely. Like
from a look.
we could have like throughout the night tonight, into tomorrow, we're kind of building these little bases on the smaller time frames, and then by the time you wake up tomorrow or sometime in the morning, the 1 hour might be above that 200-day moving average, and we might have a nice trading day tomorrow, right? And a little bit of a bounce. Very, very possible. And again, ultimately, we're still in that bear flag on my 4 hour, but doesn't mean we can't come back to the top of the channel 108.
Yeah, and you're basically looking to get the higher low. The higher low, that's the point we're trying to build here and start building the structure the other way. And sometimes we just gotta be a little patient with that structure being built. Like you said, you exited because the structure is not made yet. The bullish structure or full bear structure is not completed
Mm-hmm.
to show direction. So safe spot is to not be in a trade right now. A lot of times if you're trading this, you're kind of trying to force it a little bit.
Absolutely. And the 1 hour, to be honest, kind of looks bullish to me, because like if you look at the RSI is almost like in a falling wedge, right? And it kind of looks like it's breaking out of that fall. We're curling up to the upside. Stochastic's a little high, but it's got plenty of room to go. So like I'd be surprised if we don't wake up tomorrow morning and we're above the 1 hour 200-day moving average. I'd be very surprised. And then like even now, like the 21 is touching the 200. So like we already wicked above the 21. So like we got what, now a minute 45 minutes before this candle closes. I wouldn't be surprised if the next hour we're up here, like we're somewhere around
We're in the
104.
we're in the worst time zone
Yeah,
right now, in my opinion. This is the worst time
I
of day. And if
agree.
you're ever in a trade, absolute misery happens in these next hour and a half, 2 hours. It's just no man's land before Europe wakes up. East Coast is going to sleep. It's just the most torturous, like trickery hour or boring hour that exists.
You're so right.
And yeah, I hate it. This is like dead zone misery in these times. West Coast is not in bed. East Coast is going to bed. West Coast is going. Europe's not awake. So
That's you
you don't
gotta
know what's going to
understand.
happen.
You gotta understand where where volume is and liquidity, because liquidity is really the energy that moves the markets. And this is something that I'm learning, even now, like with my trading group, which kind of sucks because I work full time still. So a lot of the best times to trade is when I'm at work. Thank goodness I have a job where I can actually have time to do it. But yeah, when I find like my trading group shows, Monday to Wednesday are some of the best days to trade between 7 and noon Eastern time, right? You just got to find when the market's not on your side right now. You're more likely to lose a trade right now than to win a trade, because you just don't have liquidity. And it's funny you said that about Europe, because like I was in Portugal earlier this year, and I'm like, man, my trades are killing. I was killing it with trades. I'm like, this time zone's awesome, and
It's great for even regular plays. Like I felt like you could front run the U.S. waking up.
mhm.
You'd wake up in Europe. You'd go. You'd everything would be sold off a bit from the U.S. going to bed and everything, and then you'd buy up a couple different things, especially if you're talking about like altcoins and things. You could buy a chunk of things up throughout the US waking up. They'd buy both of them back up to where they were. Then you could just exit them again for these quick flips every single day, waking up on Europe time zone.
The Europe in the morning, I found like I got that entry on that 1 minute that I showed you happened, like it usually happens early in the morning. um and getting up on that Europe time frame, I can get in on that 1 minute trade, because the model will flash where like I'll wake up Eastern, and it's already above, so I've missed a good chunk of the move already, where I don't even need to ride that move as long as I do to take my profits on Europe. I could have got in and out. Like I had where I was like, I wake up at Europe time, getting a trade. By the time I have breakfast, I've already taken my profits, and then US opens, and like I'm good for the day. Like whatever I make now is a cherry on top.
Oh, absolutely. It is funny the different time zones, and it's another reason why sometimes if you have the ability to be in other areas, especially when the market is in a good place, it can be a big difference maker financially. Families and stuff can stop that, but if you have the ability to, sometimes it does make sense to change locations for certain time periods in the market, or just even if it's to zone in, maybe there's too much distraction. but you still have the ability to get out, test it out, test another area, see if you find a little bit better groove in a different time zone.
That's why some traders don't sleep or have a sleep schedule where they're waking up on like certain different time frames. To be honest, if you're trading, like the more you're in the charts, the more you're involved, the more you're here, the more opportunity you're gonna have. You're seeing the market, right? Like unfortunately for someone like me, like I, working full time, have a daughter, have a family, like I'm in and out of the charts all the time. So like, I have to set a block of time to like really analyze what the hell's going on, catch up. I almost feel like I'm playing catch up, right? To see what the hell's been happening, what's going on, and then you got to be in it to chart the right time to make a trade. Because I haven't like been doing limit orders because the market can change so fast. I want to be when I'm there. I want to babysit that trade, especially if I'm in a scalp. If I'm in a long term trade, I don't give a shit. I can go. I'll come back in a couple weeks, whatever. But if I'm in a short term trade, like a scalp, for example, right now, I would be in and out with. I don't want to sleep on it. Absolutely not. I want to get in and then get out within a couple hours.
Yeah, we are at a very interesting point. The chart, you could see a structure getting built here that would potentially give a bit of a bullish look, but it's so early in that move that it wouldn't even, it would take almost nothing to get it to look bearish from here. Even going sideways straight from here to break through that white line would be on a very dangerous ranging zone. So we really do want to see some kind of strength coming out of this spot. Really, we saw a pretty hard rejection at that 108 to 110 realm. I think you've got yours set around 107 area for your line.
The top line here?
Which that's basically 108, the blue line that you've got at the top here.
Yeah, it's kind of a loose line. Yeah.
Was a hard, we had a hard rejection there today. And that to me is going to be probably, I wouldn't be surprised if we go back there, but we ideally want to start tapping on that top side rather than the bottom side of this channel. And for a while now, these last moves, we've been dancing on the support side over the resistance side of that.
Dude, my bread and butter is the Bitcoin chart because I don't care what altcoin you're in. This is what you got to be looking at. Even if you're not trading Bitcoin, you're not going to have many altcoins go up if Bitcoin's going down. Let's just, especially unless Bitcoin dominance is dropping off a cliff. And my bread and butter here is, that Bitcoin dominance chart and Tether dominance, because you got to understand macro. And, we can bounce around in this channel. Like, this is the 1 hour. Let me go to the bigger time frames. I don't really like using the small time frames, especially when it comes to macro.
You took a total market cap right here?
I haven't. I can bring it up in a second.
Or what is this? What are we looking at?
This is Tether dominance.
Oh, okay.
So I've been, as you guys can see, I've been tracking this for quite a while. So Tether dominance is my bread and butter. So like, if I'm going to get into a trade, and this is very important, don't just YOLO into a Bitcoin trade because hey, this Bitcoin trade looks good. You have to have confluence with the Tether dominance. If Tether dominance looks like it's gonna pump, and you think Bitcoin is gonna pump, doesn't make sense. Bitcoin dominant or Tether dominance needs to be looking like it's going to dump if Bitcoin dominance or Bitcoin price is going to go up. You have to have those two coincide with each other for the move to make sense. That's when you know the market is on your side. And to be honest, I see Tether dominance in a bull flag, right? Or a little bit of a falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern, right? And you would take the measure of this move would be this pull here. And you have, Tether dominance coming back up to 5.82%. So I don't see now. Do I see it bouncing to the bottom of the channel? Yes, we're starting a red candle right here on the daily, so we can come to the bottom of the channel absolutely, which is kind of coinciding with that move that we're kind of seeing with Bitcoin. We could hit that top of the channel, but ultimately we're in a bear flag. So now I'm seeing like my mental process is like making sense. Okay, like I saw that for Bitcoin. That's what I think is going to happen. And I'm seeing the same thing potentially happening with Tether dominance. So do I see a little bit of a bump up for Bitcoin? Yes. Do I see overall that we're probably in a bear flag on the bigger time frames and we're probably going to dump into around that 90,000 level, 97,000 level again? Yes, but that will be that flag eventually breaking to the upside for Tether dominance. Until the structure breaks, until this fails and comes back down here or breaks this uptrend that we have for Tether dominance, I have to.
Is that on the daily? Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, this is on the daily. So right now we're respecting this little trend here, and until this little trend breaks, I have to my thought process has to stay the same. It's, we break out back to the 21, break out back to the 21, same ideas as you do any other trade. And yeah,
Yeah, you basically want to see if it'll break. Like if that red candle breaks down harder,
yeah,
then
absolutely.
you're breaking structure.
And
Yeah, and then that would be when maybe it. But I guess in this case, it's a net positive.
ultimately, tether dominance is in a macro downtrend ever since what freaking um, October of 2023. We've been in a macro downtrend. So what I could see happening is eventually we roll over and we get back into this my channel here, and we break down to 3.58% unless this keeps going up, and then we start changing, making a bottoming structure, and then we're going up, and then probably a longer term bear market, right? But until that happens, we have to just watch the little trends here as they come, right?
Stable coins are a weird one too because this is the first time we've had such a massive stable coin emphasis in a long time. This year has somewhat been the year of the stable coin. So this could be the first time coming up that we actually see, because we've seen such massive inflows of stable coins, that we see some interesting things in this chart in the next year. If a lot of people are doing a lot, especially institution wise, if they start really flexing into stable coin products, and massive amounts of money sits in stable coins in this industry compared to ever before, which, because we don't care as an industry as much the last couple cycles around stable coins as they do now, with real emphasis on DeFi products.
Absolutely. So again, the tsunami is going to come from stable coins.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing before we get to total, the other thing that I use as well is Bitcoin dominance. Like Bitcoin dominance is just starting an uptrend.
Yeah.
We've had a nice rounded bottom. We're starting an uptrend. It looks like we're going to come and hit that 200-day moving average. Whether we get rejected by it or not, I don't see why we don't come to it. I truly think we're going to blast through it, which could mean a market correction. If Bitcoin dominance is going up and Tether dominance is going up, that means broad market correction overall. Like the whole market's going to come down. But if Bitcoin dominance goes up and Tether dominance rolls over, that means Bitcoin is stronger and going up overall in price in the market. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Like I see Bitcoin dominance goes up. Now what we just got to watch what Tether dominance can do. Is going to go up or go down. That's going to tell you where the market's going to go, and that will lead you into the mindset of what kind of trade I need to be in. Do I need to be in the short? Do I need to be in the long? Based on those two things.
And I don't really see, for me, this personal, don't take this as some professional trader saying it. It's Brandon saying it, but the thing that I do think we'll see more Bitcoin dominance coming up. I do think we're not at the state where we roll straight into an alt season type thing unless it's something smaller. I think if we are going to see an alt season type scenario, the kind that we would be excited about, we would need to see Bitcoin leg up pretty hard and actually establish breaking out of all-time highs and make the market come catch it, compared to, we didn't really have. Yeah, if it started going into alt season here, I don't think there's enough people flush with liquidity and things, which are what ended up rolling things into mass hysteria. I think a lot more people just got absolutely bludgeoned by this market this year.
Yeah.
So I don't see where the altcoin rally comes from unless we see that big leg up from Bitcoin and some things coming.
Advertiser for crypto? It's price. So
Yep,
you
always.
need Bitcoin to go up because liquidity is gonna have to flow from Bitcoin to altcoins. But again, there's been like two bull markets. It's like you have the Bitcoin bull market, and it's been a pretty good bull market for Bitcoin. Like, you know what I mean? Like depending on when you got in. But if you're in altcoins, it's been rough, right? Really rough. So like, a lot of altcoins are still waiting for the bull market to start, and and
it may never for some of them. I think that's what people need to realize is you're not going to get a win in anything anymore. It probably isn't that way, and that's actually a sign of maturity in the market.
Look at XRP.
That not everything wins.
I look at XRP, and I'm not here nor there.
Don't say anything on TikTok about XRP unless you want an army after you.
I'm not here nor there with XRP. Like I don't have an opinion on the coin, whether it's a good product or not. I could care less. But what I do see is like it like skipped a bull market, right? Like last in 2021, it didn't make a new all-time high, but it did this time around. So what's to say altcoins, because there's so much institutional adoption of Bitcoin right now, it's kind of the Bitcoin show. What's to say that the next cycle, once all the Clarity Act comes in, all the ETFs pass and everything like that, everybody's allocated well into Bitcoin. What's to say the money won't start flowing into altcoins and all, especially those ones made in the USA and ones that have ETFs? It could just skip a cycle, and then we have new all-time highs.
Yeah, look at things like AVAX. AVAX would be a prime candidate for a skip cycle type move.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason the skip cycle move makes sense for certain things like an AVAX style build, which is L1 centric and really around massive adoption onto the chains to create like a crypto universe of basically most companies being on it. You would have another 4 years of tokens getting distributed, things like that, being able to all be distributed at lows. You'd get 4 more years out from all of the unlocks, everything. So sometimes with some of those tokens, you actually give it enough room to breathe and get done with some of the mechanics of itself
Mm-hmm.
and build out the adoption, build out the layer ones, build out the DATs, get all of this stuff set in place so that you can finally mount this all-time high of 2021 or whenever AVAX hit it. To me, when you're talking about an XRP type move, like the AVAX and things like AVAX being one that I can think off the top of my head, seems like a perfect candidate for something like that, where you have an okay-ish, you run up a little bit. There's still stuff in the ecosystem that you can speculate on, like an arena or things like that. Their L1s could still do well, but the base token itself needs more years to get the actual pressure with the way it's set up mechanically.
Yeah, especially when the market has been really led by institutions. Like retail has not been here on a mass scale, aside from our little meme coin craze at the beginning, or at the beginning of the cycle, like the pump the fun stuff. But like we still need, traditionally the crypto market has been led by retail, right? Like, and unfortunately retail just don't got money right now, man. People are struggling. It's been really tough out there. People don't have a lot of discretionary income. A lot of people have PTSD from the last cycle and the failures and everything, and it kind of like unfortunately fed the narratives like crypto's for scammers and everything, like, and it did kind of feed that when you have bad actors like like FTX and all that. So people just stay away. Or again, you had stimulus coming in from during COVID, where like you put into Cardano, all of a sudden like your $1,400 stimulus check, you're a millionaire, right? But that's
Well, and in a lot of ways, it is for scammers. In a lot of places, there are a lot of scammers, and people. It isn't a user-friendly place for a lot of inexperienced people, and that has to kind of mature if you did want retail to come hang out here. If you go onto Solana Casino, you're gonna get like, it's not gonna be officially a rug, but they're basically gonna sell that token off into you within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how that's how it works, you're the person getting fleeced. The newest person's getting fleeced over and over, and that's the person that you want to be here in the future. That was the person where in 2020, 2021, 2022, there wasn't pump funds. There weren't these launch pads. They weren't able to get absolutely fleeced over and over again as easily. You could get in something at 800K market cap, 1 million, 2 million, run that up to 20 million, 200 million, win, get opportunities. That just was very hard to come by. And people were just getting anybody new was getting abused by the current system and the current main characters.
Yeah, it's that's again the whole reason now, like, and it was a learning thing for me too. It's like, especially with the whole FTX thing, it's like, now that's why I don't chase yield. It's like, my first question now is, how are you making this yield? How are you able to pay people this much yield? Like, where are you getting the money from? Like, that's the big question I ask now when it comes to yield. That's why, like, I'm looking at, like, for me, for the bear market, I'm gonna start getting into more staking, especially being, like, coming from like a miner's perspective. Like, like staking, I understand. Staking, I can wrap my head around. I think of staking as like a dividend stock. That's how I treat it. I treat it no differently than like I would look at a dividend stock, right? But the only difference is you're
Yeah.
getting paid in an asset that also could grow in value, not just cash. So that's the one thing I really like about it.
Well, you know what they say:
Mhm.
if you can't explain the yield, you are the yield. That's what they say.
That's a good one. I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah,
uh,
because that's the truth. If it's too good to explain and nobody can tell you where it's coming from, then it's most likely you and passing around funds behind the scene, which we've seen over and over and over again in our industry, unfortunately.
and you know what? That's the thing. Like the crypto, we're trying to get away from what the traditional banks have been doing. They're taking your money and messing around with it. Mind you, a bank will probably be a little bit more responsible than like some dexes or whatever, right?
Yeah, they at least insure it for you, at least up to 250.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's and you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because if when it comes to mass adoption and we start getting these these rails and everything in for crypto, when you start to have protections in place for certain amounts, and because you have a good proof of reserves, or banks getting into it and they're a little bit more risk adverse and that kind of stuff, that'll bring mass adoption when people feel safe, and not that
Yeah.
crypto's a scam kind of thing, where again some people are going to use centralized exchanges, some people are going to use their normal banks. When normal banks are able to custody crypto, you better believe people are going to use Bank of America, because people like to stick with their brands. They like to stick with the
Yeah.
things that they know, right? And that's fine, that's okay. Just because you don't believe that, or you don't want to use that, doesn't mean that somebody else will. Everyone's different.
That's what Orangey. Did you see? I actually watched Orangey speak, and I don't know if anybody knows who he is. A lot of people do. He's a very big influencer within crypto. He's a professional gamer, pivoted into basically one of the better meme coin trenchers on Solana. Made an absolute killing over the last years. But they asked him how he stored his stuff. He said, in the bank. I took, like, you could hate me all you want, you can say whatever you want, but my friends and me have had several situations where they knew that we were involved in crypto and they tried to kidnap us or threaten us or whatever to get access to our funds, to where we decided that it was not worth it for our own safety and our fund safety to manage it ourselves in a way we can access it. We had to get it out of our hands. And he said, I know it's not really like crypto centric to get put it in a bank, but he said at this point, it still is the safest way where you can sleep at night and go out in public and not feel like, oh, somebody could know I have a ledger and actually put a gun to my head until I get them the money, which you just couldn't do at a bank.
Absolutely, you have to determine what your risk tolerance is. Like I've had people like that I've talked to crypto about years ago. I had a gentleman that I mentioned crypto about a year or two ago, and he was kind of hesitant about. Didn't understand the tech. He's not a techie guy. He's an older guy. He's probably in his late 40s. Not familiar with tech stuff in general, right? And but you know what, he came to me, and I saw him again this year. He came to me and he said, hey, you know what, I got into crypto, but he bought the ETFs. It's just a vehicle that he understood. So
Yeah,
and it's also available in Wealth Simple. I'm Canadian, we use Wealth Simple and
exactly.
stuff like that, like platforms that you can use that he's familiar with. That's fine. You get the exposure. I've been telling guys, at work, like that they're starting in their investing journey, and I got what the one fellow, he's not really comfortable with sending in transactions in crypto, but he bought in his retirement fund. He bought IBTC. You're getting the same percentage returns as Bitcoin. It tracks the price. So if you're not thinking about it as a return perspective, maybe you're not holding the underlying asset. If you're fine with that, that's up to you. It's your prerogative. But he's getting the same returns, and that's fine. That's okay. It's what you use. I don't care how you use it. I'm on team crypto. I want people to use the
Yeah.
products more. I want more people to be, because I truly believe this is the upgrade to the entire financial system. Blockchain technology, like and crypto, digital currencies are the upgrade to our digital way we transact as a whole, whether it be whatever coin you use.
No, totally true. Totally true. Let's jump into this Bitcoin market cap. I might have to get going in not too long here.
Same, like we got like 10 minutes, and because I put,
Yeah, so
when you put
let's
the stream
crank it
on,
out.
it like cuts off at a certain time. So we'll just get the total, and we'll give our closing thoughts on whatever. So again, I'm in the same boat with bearish movement. We're in a in a bear flag. Like we said here, we can draw a nice big circle up here, and then we dump, right? And kind of is what's happening. The 21 day lost to 200. We lost to 200. The 21 is crossing on the bear side, a bearish retest of the 200-day moving average, and back down again. So I think we're just gonna trend up here until we eventually break down, and total is gonna get down to maybe 3.2 trillion, 3.19, somewhere around there. That's what I see for the next leg down. Like, it's, again, I'm not overly bullish. I'm really not overly bullish in the market right now. I have to start to see us get above certain key levels before I start to get bullish, and it starts with the 200-day moving average.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not, there's no definitive move here, and like you've just pointed out, there's multiple bear flags on multiple different charts of multiple different things. So you want to see some of those structures start to get broken to become bullish, at least from a chart structure perspective.
Yeah, like, even I'm just looking at it right now, even a total, like I see a shoulder, head, and a shoulder here, right? So that's kind of, if you take the neckline here, right? We broke the neckline, right? And so the measured move would potentially be down here at, again, 3.01 trillion. So that's kind of lining up. It's already, the move is already started on the head and shoulders. We broke the neckline. We had made a move down. We had a bearish retest, and then we're going to come down again. So I would look for a pretty significant dump overall, and that kind of leads into that, the low 90s for Bitcoin. The more I see it, the more I think we're going there.
Yeah, the question is, are you shorting it? Are you bold enough to short the move, or are you gonna wait for the
I am bullishly biased, so I don't like to short until I know for a fact we're in a bear market. And then what I'm gonna do, because I'm bullishly biased, I'll press Alt I and I'll flip the chart upside down.
That's a way to do it.
And then I'll trade it that way, because I know I'm bullishly biased, and that's what you have to understand when you trade. Are you bullishly biased?
Flip it over again. Flip it over again. Let's look at them flipped over. Maybe it helped. Maybe it helps some people that are watching.
Absolutely. Like, if you're bullishly biased, just trade this way, and instead of longing, you're gonna do shorts, and you're gonna trade it the same way you do, bull flag. Like, we're in a bull flag for total. We're gonna pump up, but the price. This is where you'll see some posts on X. It's like, hey, we're gonna pump up this level, but if you look at the side, it's like, wait a second, the price is going down. There's some people try to trick you that way.
Yeah, because you have some, like you said, most of us, I'd say, are bullishly biased, because we do want the industry to do well. You want it to pump. So if you have to flip the chart around to see what you don't want to see, you totally do whatever you have to do. I think it's a great method. It does help a lot, because I'm the same way. I'm very bullish bias. Sometimes you got to flip the chart around and say, if you're diehard bullish on that chart flipped upside down, then you have to be real with what that means.
Yeah, and honestly, it really will change your perspective, because I'm like, now I'm looking at this like, oh man, this looks great, it's gonna pump. And it's like, no, it's gonna.
Wait, throw Bitcoin on real quick. Let's just flip it. Let's just flip Bitcoin real quick and see how we feel with that, because more people are probably looking at that chart more often,
right? Like, I'm telling you, it lines up. We hit the 21, we bounced off the 21, we pumped up. So, like,
and this is upside down.
This is upside down. So this looks like, again, that moved to 93,000. And you can even say here, see, now I'm getting a different perspective live. I see an inverted head and shoulders right here. It played out. We had to move to the upside. Now, do we continue?
Wow. You don't like to see that. You don't like to see that we flip it upside down, that gets bullish. If we don't want to see that, we got to see some. But again, sometimes you got to just keep slamming what you don't want to hear in, and you played it right. If you start seeing a lot of this, it's not that you have to short it, but take some risk off the table.
Sometimes take some stress off the best move is sitting on your hands and not doing anything.
Yeah.
And on that note, Thank you so much for coming on, Brandon. I really appreciate it. It was a really good conversation. Great show today. I love what you guys are doing with the education. You guys are right up my alley with what I'm trying to do here at the Adoption Pod. Thank you so much for coming on, man. We really loved hearing your take on the markets.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, and make sure you keep your fingers crossed for all of us. I think we all want to see a fun bullish market. I don't think that many of us are bold enough to short it. So let's hope we can break some structures here and get yourself into a space where you're really enjoying it. Make smart moves when you're really nervous or you think the market's going to go the opposite direction. Take some money off the table, like you heard him do here today. Take some stress off the table. Just put yourself in a state where emotionally you're not high. You're not high emotionally and stressed. You'll make better decisions and show up to streams like his, show up to streams and find your crew. But thanks for having me on. My socials are at the Dazzle Novak. Jared, who was on earlier, is at TGI Fresco, and we run our streams on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. PST and on Fridays at noon Pacific Standard Time. So if any point you guys want to jump in either on X or through the arena where the big community tends to be, happy to have you, and hopefully we'll see you guys on our stream as well soon.
Absolutely, get on the arena, support that, support the guys on the arena and everything. That's where it's at. It's where the party's at. The arena's really where the party's at. Like AVAX,
load yourself up on arena. Financial advice locked in, yeah, like that. Yeah, I'm loaded, and hopefully we see you guys on the champions board. There's somebody who always cooks, and that's Jason Desimone, the founder. And just know that just because the overall market's going, there are going to still be some really interesting platforms and products built out in bear and bull markets. Keep an eye on them.
That's it. Keep your finger in the pulse. That's where opportunity is. Thank you so much for coming on, man. And looking forward to having you on again. We'll do some more collabs together.
Definitely. Have a good one.
All right, later, brother. All right, homies. That's it. That's it for this Tuesday. Thank you guys for coming out for the Adoption Pod. It was great to get back in the saddle after being at conferences for the last week. I was in Florida with the family, did a little bit of a family vacation / conference, a little bit of work, and we're back in the saddle. And hopefully next week Mick will be feeling better, and we'll get back to the shenanigans with Mick. And thank you so much for coming by, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.